were able to do today was allow people to see his heart for themselves and to make up their own minds about him. And they find out that he's not the person that the media has depicted him to be.
Are you endorsing?
I support Donald Trump, and everybody knows that.
100%.
All right, Donald, we've got some questions for you.
Mr. Trump, you've done great things in your life, and I just wonder, how do I, as an average person, begin?
Well, first of all, never think of yourself as average. You started off with the wrong question because you're not average. You've got a lot going. I see you're smart. I see you're very beautiful.
I know Donald forever. I like Donald very much.
Wonderful guy. I mean,
he is.
And he's miscast by the media. You know that.
I like Donald. He's got an enormous ego, but he's a good guy. He's got a big heart, by the way. He's very good to people. He's very kind to people.
People don't know that.
You just have to get that word average out of your vocabulary, and you have to tell yourself that you're great, and you have to believe it. If you can say it and don't believe it, it doesn't matter.
A kid that worked in the back.
Right.
I said, well, hey, how is Donald Trump? This is before he ran. This is months ago. He goes, unbelievable. He would come backstage, come back to the kitchen, and give $100 to the staff.
Yeah.
He would give these guys quietly. Nobody would know about that.
The fact is, I go down the streets of New York, and the people that really like me are the taxi drivers and the workers, etc., etc.
Also, his children. I know his son, Eric. I've met him a couple of times. These are great kids.
They're great kids.
They're great kids.
Yeah.
You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Do you like him?
Yeah, I mean, he's real. That's all we need.
I like his ideas. Those are real letters. Those are not corporate letters. Those are not letters from Exxon.
These are handwritten.
Those are not letters from General Motors. Those are letters from people. You have to have heart. You have to take care of women's health issues. You have to take care of poor people that they're never going to have a shot. And you have to take care of African-American youth who have never been in a worse position than they are right now.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
I think Donald Trump, underneath it all, isn't just a business guy. I think he loves America. I really do. I think he cares.
This country has such potential. I love the country. I think we can make it better than ever before. We have to unleash it. People have lost their spirit.
Donald Trump represents truth, logic, and common sense.
His incentive and his self-interest is tied to the well-being of the country that he's supposed to represent.
They love me, I love them. And I'll tell you something, if I get the nomination, I'll win the Latino vote. I will win it because I'm going to create jobs.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Get behind the candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, that's going to do something for you. That's going to give you a hand up instead of a handout, baby.
A lot of things that he said is true.
Wow.
The Mexican border. And,
you're Hispanic and you're saying that. Are you sure? Wow.
I know what Donald Trump is doing is representing the absolute heartbreak and anger and frustration at a government gone mad.
I guess I just wanted to find out if there was one thing that you wanted people to remember about Donald Trump. What is it?
Never, ever give up.
The power of positive thinking, and I think that's very much in Donald's makeup.
If I become president, I couldn't care less about my company. I want to use that same up here, whatever it may be, to make America rich again and to make America great again. Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Do not underestimate the power of Donald Trump, or you will be scratching your head wondering, how did he get the Republican nomination? And we will see the best debate in history. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Donald J. Trump.
We are here to stay. Donald Trump all the way.
Donald Trump has came up with some very strict immigration laws that would guarantee work in the African-American community.
I hope he gets through with his intentions about building the wall.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that
Not all Latinos are blind.
He knows what money is, where it comes from, and how to make more of it rather than redistributing other people's in exchange for their vote.
And the intensity with Trump is like nothing I've seen since I was a little kid and Reagan was running. And they were saying this is America's last shot.
If we don't get it right this time, we're not going to have a country left, folks. We're not going to have a country.
Are we seriously trying to figure out whether or not Donald Trump would make a good president? The man has major skills that he can offer.
This country right now owes $19 trillion, and they need somebody like me to straighten out that mess.
Honestly, I really think voters and Americans are looking at this guy saying, it's refreshing to hear somebody not be a wuss, not be a politician, and really say what they think.
These aren't dumb people. These are American patriots, and they want this country turned around.
I don't want nuance, I want bold colors, red, white, and blue. America, I have seen in the last several decades, absolutely fray and decline. When I saw those guys on the boats, on their knees, I mean, that says a picture about America that I haven't seen ever before. Democrats, not one or two, but many, are voting for Donald Trump, as well as Republicans. I've seen this all over the place. So I think there's a big movement happening, and I got to say that, you know, we need him.
You know, this is a movement, folks. This is not like even maybe about me. I don't want it to be about me. This is about common sense. It's about doing the right thing.
The silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back.
I have a big heart. I'm going to take care of people. I'm going to make sure that this country comes first. We don't come first. We don't come 10th. We take care of everyone else but our own, and that's going to change.
We're going to become rich again. We're going to become safe again. And we're going to become strong again.
Nothing is wrong with us. We don't have to like illegal aliens. We don't have to. We're Americans. We want Americans first. Why can't we be first?
We are ready for a change. We are ready, and our troops deserve the best.
And in the Middle East, I guess we've spent $5 trillion. We could have rebuilt our bridges, our tunnels, our roads, our hospitals, our airports. We could have rebuilt our country. We could have rebuilt our military. We could have taken care of Social Security. We could have taken care of everything.
We are going to win so much. We're going to have win after win after win. You people are going to get sick and tired of winning. You're going to say, please, please, President Trump, we can't take this much victory. Please stop. We don't want any more wins. And I'm going to say to you, we're going to win. I don't care what you say. We're going to make our country great again. We're going to win. We're going to win. And we're going to win. We are going to make America great again.
First of all, I've come to know Donald Trump over the last few years. He is actually a very intelligent man who cares deeply about America. There are two different Donald Trumps. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, sits there and considers things very carefully. You can have a very good conversation with him. And that's the Donald Trump that you're going to start seeing more and more of right now.
From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Yeah, I'm just going to come out with it because I know everybody's been asking me about it, and I've been getting a lot of messages. That song, folks, that song is by a guy named Mark Houck with a band called Sohio, like the old gas station.
Yeah.
Sohio.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why they named it Sohio. That's what they did.
Well, I mean, aren't they from Ohio?
They are from Ohio,
Okay.
but you cannot have the website sohio.com, .net, .info.
Are you making fun of him right now? You're making fun of him. He's probably listening right now like,
he's an awesome guy, but he absolutely hates Trump. And when I told him about the show, he's happy for us, and he's happy for the show.
And he probably got excited when you wanted to use the song, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But he told me a story. He said that the guy that holds the rights, because I was going to give him some money, like $20 or $30, whatever it cost,
$1.50, whatever,
to use it.
I mean, it's worth more than that, but that's just what our budget is.
And so he got a hold of the guy. They came back, and a couple of weeks later, he's like, "Oh man, you're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What?" He's like, oh, "He's a real hardcore lib, and he's not going to like this."
He's triggered.
So he went back again, and he came back to me and said, "Man, you're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What?" And this is kind of somber. I mean, sorry, but that's what happened. Guy got in a head-on car wreck and died. So we don't have anybody to pay.
Wait, is
his
the band
lawyer
gone?
No, his lawyer.
Oh, the lawyer. I thought
to take the money.
Well, I mean, you know what they say about 100 lawyers at the bottom of the sea.
Good start.
Right. Yeah.
It was all right. So look him up, Sohio. You can find him on the iTunes or whatnot, and on the YouTube. I will have to give you a caveat.
Oh gosh, here we go.
That is the only song I like. That's one of the only ones I know, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Because the rest of it is like rap, right? No,
it's
no.
I mean, because it's hippie stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It's like an attempt at grunge, maybe
a grunge / hippie. But anyways,
but that's a good song. Good song.
Fantastic song. So, without any further ado, you're listening to Smith Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. I am your host, Brian Smith, along with
Carrie Smith,
my cousin. And back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force and he was in the Marine Corps. We've been talking politics for about the last 15, 16, 17 years, all the time, hours and hours on end. And back in 2012, we decided once Obama was reelected, we saw that this was over the event horizon and that was it. It's all over with. We decided to come together and just document the demise of America and how it was falling apart at the seams, and because nobody's going to believe it 1,000 years from now.
Right.
So it was audio only. This is our 5th year. We are in our 5th year, and this is our first year video. And I want to give a shout out to all our great Patreons. Thank you very, very much.
It feels like we've been doing video way longer. Like I almost feel like, yeah, there was a point in the early goings where it was just audio, but yeah, we're video. But no, you're saying that we did audio for a long time, audio only for a long time.
Yes, not only that, but we attempted video. At one point in time, we attempted video using something called OBS, Open Broadcast Systems or something or other, using a PC.
Hold on, though. Do you remember, like, at first we were like, hey, what if we just turn the Periscope on our phone and just put it in the corner of the studio? And so that was kind of our first couple of
it was the first attempt at scoping.
It looked like, like the Rush Limbaugh show has the Ditto cam, and as far as you're literally a fly on the wall.
Yeah, in the sky. You're just looking down on it.
Right, and he doesn't pay attention. So it's not like your traditional show. That's kind of like how the Periscope was at first. We were speaking into microphones as if we were on radio, and we just happened to have a video off to the side. But now it's a little bit more like personal.
So now you can go to SmithTV.com. SmithTV.com. It's kind of a short little quick thing. Anybody, you want to tell somebody about, hey, you got to check out this show called Smith TV.
Okay. All right. Are we going to change our brand now?
We're adding to it. Okay. SmithTV.com will take you directly to the website, SmithRadio.com, where you can see everything. The show is live on our website currently right now and will be saved for the entire week until next week's show. Check out the new gear. All the new gear. You're not going to believe this, but patriotic leggings for the ladies.
Oh, wow.
A little bit of Marine Corps symbols, a little bit of Air Force symbols, and Smith Radio plastered on the side of the ankle.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome. And now we have the new Smith Radio. I even picked this picture up. This is the Smith Radio 2020, Trump 2020 Smith Radio, Keep America Great.
Vesey Tweets made that.
Yep. That is now on the shirts on smithradio.com. Just look to the right. That'll be the shirts.
I like it because it's just, it's clear. You just glance at it and you see it. Whereas I think that, I don't know, a lot of our banners are just, there's just so much stuff jammed into it that you have to sit there and read it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, definitely.
As opposed to just kind of glancing. Like if we tried to put that on a billboard, you'd get into a wreck trying to read it. And so I like the new design. It's kind of like something you could actually put on a billboard.
Yes, absolutely. And we have a very special show, jam-packed show for you folks. We have 3 special guests that will be speaking at American Priorities Conference. If you look at the bottom of the screen, AmericanPriority.com. Folks, this is how we save America. This is how we keep it. This is how we save it. If you're angry and frustrated about all the negative, 95+% negative news against Donald Trump, all the lies, all the hate, and we're going to get into that this week about the lies about Don Jr., Cohen, weak-kneed and falling apart, Papadopoulos, our prayers are with you, my friend. We'll be meeting up with his wife at American Priorities Conference. And so if you're really sick and tired of all this stuff, you need to get grounded with folks like us at these conferences. You need to meet and greet and connect with everybody, listen to the new things that are going on, if you will, the grassroots movement. The RNC, the GOP, is not doing this. They're very, very bad at this.
What?
And the DNC is so unbelievably...
They would be okay at this if it was promoting an establishment uniparty type person.
Yeah, right.
But not what the MAGA movement has become, which is like we the people trying to wrestle back America as it was founded. That's really what it boils down to.
No, correct. Absolutely. And when we went to the Eagle Gateway Council conference out in St. Louis, they were unexpected. They didn't realize that a bunch of youth was going to show up and just kind of take over. This is the new blood coming in, and it was well received. It was welcomed and well received.
Yeah, they were very nice about it. They seemed a little bit surprised, like it seems like a little bit of a different demographic this year.
Yeah, definitely. It was Cotton Tops and the rest of us. I mean, it's pretty much what it was. We brought a low-energy soy boy Antifa. That was good times. But here's the thing, folks. We have our own council now. We have our own American Priorities. We're getting together. This is going to be at a very minimum a yearly, but we're pushing for a biannual, a twice a year event.
So I never could figure that out. Is biannual twice a year or once every 2 years? Somebody needs to comment.
I think it's
Let me know.
Biannual. But anyways, we're shooting for twice a year so that we can make this more of a bigger event, a more mainstream event, something where you can get plugged in and learn how to do what it takes to save your country.
And it turns out that it turned into a mainstream event. You know, when we first talked to the creators of this event, it was kind of like, oh, it's like, if you were to take the deplorable and like turn it into a CPAC. And so it was kind of like going to be that kind of a get-together. Well, as soon as people started to find out that this was going to be very professionally put on, and, it is going to have it. I'm really excited about the kind of breakout sessions, the kinds of people that want to donate their expertise on these matters. And boom, just like that, everybody wants to be a part of the show, and it's awesome. So now it's turning into the who's who. It's much bigger than what I thought it was going to be, which was kind of like a deplorable CPAC type thing. So that being said, the sky's the limit, so it's going to keep growing. But you don't want to miss the inaugural, right? The very first annual.
Absolutely not, because everybody's going to be talking about this forever and ever and ever. And our first special guest, slated to come on here at the bottom of the hour is Scott Presler.
Awesome.
Martha Barnes is scheduled. She was scheduled for last week, but she had a power outage because of all the ice storms that happen around the country.
We almost didn't get to go on the air today. Just flat out power outage, and we were just like, why? It's sunny.
It's sunny, beautiful, 66 degrees out in Cincinnati. One of the greatest, most beautiful days that we've seen for I can't even tell you how long. Power goes out at 1:45, and
why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it?
Electric company says it'll be back on at 3:45. I said, no, I need the time at the show prep. It's a show prep with the cell phone, and lo and behold, electricity came back, but internet didn't. And then 40 minutes before showtime, I got the internet. I was literally using my cell phone connected through USB.
Oh, gosh.
To navigate the internet. So this show brought to you by Apple. All Apple products,
I mean,
man.
I do have an Apple product, but
there's no way you could have done this with a PC. And I found out that when you use an Apple and you open up the web browser, it uses a fraction of the RAM to operate. Whereas a PC, and this is not me bashing PC, this is a fact. Mm-hmm. PC's browser, when you open up, it uses a percentage of your RAM.
So it doesn't matter.
So if you have 8 gig of RAM, say it uses 1. If you have 16 gig of RAM, it uses 2.
It sounds like the algorithm that Twitter uses for your following. If you get 300 new followers, you will lose 150.
Yes.
If you get 10 new followers, you will lose 5. It's exactly half every time.
That's a fact. It's guaranteed. It is unbelievable. Not only that, but the people that unfollow you, ironically, are Trump supporters as well, which is
because
crazy.
It's not like we have a bunch of liberals following us that are like, oh, you mean this guy likes Trump? And then unfollows you. It's just
I'm shocked
ridiculous.
He's a Trump supporter.
Yeah, that's just not the case. So for 250 people to unfollow you because 500 new people followed you just seems utterly ridiculous.
Right. And Deanna Lorraine, who was on the show last week, just an incredible guest. Before the show, she texted me and said, hey, you know, this is strange. Every time I go back to your guys' Twitter page, I got to follow you again.
I've never had anybody actually say that to me before, but I've had the strangest Twitter experience out of everybody that I know. Nobody has gone through what I've gone through. I mean,
I mean, maybe me a little bit.
Probably, but actually probably exactly. I think we're going through the same thing. But check this out. What company is it that gives you that big graphic tweet that says, this is how many impressions you've had this week? And it'll be like a couple million or something like that. I don't know what company does that. I don't know if you sign that up with me, but periodically, I think once a week, a tweet will come out from Smith Radio that will show a big graphic. It's like an attached image that has the number of impressions you had that week. And there was one week, it's usually close to 10 million for me. And there was one week where it exceeded 10 million. And I had a net gain of, I think, negative 50 followers that week. And I was just like,
you were doing too much.
I was getting thousands and thousands of likes and retweets, 10 million impressions, and nobody in the entire, 62 million people voted for Trump. How many of those people that voted for Trump, the 64 million, however many it was, how many of those people have a Twitter account? And Twitter is obviously shadow banning, not just us, but a lot of Trump supporters. And then you got the fact that they're banning people for no reason. And so that's what's happening on Twitter. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, we lost one, my millennial. He's no longer on the Twitter.
But he deleted his own account.
He deleted
because I said delete your account, and he took it literally. Oh my gosh! I actually said delete your account.
Come on, kids! These is jokes from the old folks.
I felt so bad. I was like, should I call him? Should I reach out to him? Felt so bad.
You know how those kids are. I don't know. There's millennial, and now we've got Generation Z,
which I think is slated so far. They're on par with possibly being the next great generation.
Yes, I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed. That would include our daughters, right?
Yeah, because they're the first. I'll tell you what, they're the first generation that I've ever heard of, and definitely in my lifetime, and maybe in the past century or so or more, where there's a significant portion of them either being corrected when they get home by their parents. When they get home and they've been brainwashed by the communists that run the Department of Education, and they come home and say, Mommy, we learned blank, 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 whatever. We're like, what? And then we correct them, and they're skeptical. Either that, or they're just flat out homeschooled. When I was growing up, there were rumors of kids that knew somebody that may have been homeschooled.
Yeah,
but we didn't believe them. We didn't believe them
because that would have been like, what?
You mean you wake up in the morning and you don't go to school?
And you stay home?
It was like, I would dream of that every day.
It's like going to go down the street and look for a unicorn. It just ain't happening.
It's just not, or the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, whatever. Right. And so it was a rumor. And now, like, my wife is a president of the local chapter of the American Heritage Girls, and like the entire troop is homeschooled.
Right.
And then Brian here not only is homeschooling his 3 children, but he's part of this other group that's completely independent of the American Heritage Girls chapter that is just a huge homeschool group. And I'm just like, wow, this was not the case when I was growing up.
There's a mega church on the Coleraine area. I mean, west side of Cincinnati. Mega church with, when I say mega church, I mean all kinds of rooms, like dozens and dozens of different offices and dozens of different classrooms and rooms. And I mean, it's a mega church, big church. And they said that they were praying for months, maybe years. God send us an organization that homeschools that needs a place to facilitate their schooling once a week so that the kids can take electives or whatnot. So my daughter takes astronomy and the other daughter takes creative writing, and then there's art classes and science and stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And the mothers, usually the mothers, all volunteer to teach a class or to do a class. And since my wife is fluent in Spanish, lo and behold, she teaches Spanish class.
Okay.
And this thing has grown. And I mean, when I went there for the final event, there were hundreds of kids everywhere, ranging from my boy who's 4.5 all the way up to high schoolers.
Yeah, and that was originally how schooling was done in America, where it was like you'd have these little schoolhouses that the local kids would, it could be church or it could be, they would just build something and then the kids would walk to school, and it was not like, you wouldn't be arrested for truancy or anything like that. Because you would want to go anyway. And then it was like local mothers or whatever, or somebody that had the time to go every day to teach the kids. And it would be like there'd be a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old and all mixes.
A Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah. And so, and most people today would look at that and be like, gosh, that must have been inefficient. They must have been totally ignorant. They didn't know anything, blah, blah. But you look at what we're being taught today and it's like, wow, it was probably much better because like what you learn today is just completely useless.
Well, look at what happened through the 20th century. All the inventions, all the incredible technology that was created. That wasn't created by the Department of Miseducation,
right,
which was implemented in 1979. Jimmy Carter, thank you, Mr. Peanut, decided that it wasn't a department, decided that education should have its own singular department by itself and be funded totally by itself.
It turned into the Leviathan that where everything has to go through them. And of course, the Democrats get a hold of this and say, well, let's implement the communism this way.
And that was also around the same era that big unions were destroying they were destroying the car industry. They started employment. They wound up destroying Detroit City, which was Detroit City, literally in all of human history, had more money flowing through that city than any single city in human history.
Right.
Folks. And that was destroyed. All the city council members are Democrats. All the union bosses running the places, doing what they did. There's no coincidence why it was destroyed. I'm just saying.
I mean, well, socialism fails every single time it's tried. And, It's whenever it's faithfully executed.
Yeah, when it's faithfully executed. So when people say that communism and socialism just hasn't been implemented correctly. No. It has been implemented correctly. The end result is the utter destruction.
Right.
Venezuela.
You need some sort of, there's two ways that socialism can get by, can survive, barely. Number one, it has to be supported either A, by capitalism, or B, which is funny because they're opposing ideologies. They don't really work well together. There's like a wall that separates them. So you have a capitalist economy that supports the socialism, which is kind of what we have in America, right?
Yep.
So they call it a safety net, but the safety net is so big that, it's like instead of like the bottom 10% just kind of get saved from being on the street and impoverished or whatever. It's more like the bottom 40% or maybe even 50% actually. So it ends up being like able-bodied people are on welfare or whatever. Or able-bodied people end up living off of unemployment indefinitely. And the other way that socialism survives barely is when you have some sort of an export or a free source of wealth. So, for instance, in Europe, in some of the few places where socialism is surviving, it's because they have a free oil export, right? So they're just like pumping endless amounts of oil out of the ground. So not only are they able to provide for their own energy by pumping it out of the ground, but then they're also bringing in money by selling it as an export. And so all that wealth and free energy is what fuels, or I should say, helps prop up the socialism. But without that free energy or free export it's not really free. I mean, you got to get it up out of the ground, but that's a lot of wealth.
Well, and the problem is now in Venezuela, the problem is there's no more water. There's no drinking water. But the thing is that all the oil, they were a booming, up and coming new
they couldn't even
democracy.
Manage that. Yeah.
And it was up and coming in like 1998, 1999. And then, Chavez stole it. They have literally taken the oil reserves. All the oil reserves, all the companies that were drilling and digging, all of them have been fired and been replaced with military personnel. That's who runs the oil.
Wow.
How are you going to fire the engineers that run the oil rigs, the oil companies, the refineries?
They should have. The thing about that, socialism is like communism. The government is in charge of the means of production. And in the case of Venezuela and some of the northern European countries that the liberals like to tout as being, hey, look, socialism works in these countries. You almost need a third party to do the oil drilling. You don't want the government to get involved in anything because they're so bad at it. It was like the Soviet Union had a car company. And there actually is a version, one of the models is on display at Wright-Patterson Air Force Museum because they have an entire section devoted to the Cold War. And, oh my gosh, it was like a 3-cylinder little lawnmower engine in this car, and they said that lots of people had to push their car to get it up hills, and yeah.
So real quick, we're slated to have Scott Presler on. He is a grassroots kind of guy where he's on the ground, knocking on doors, making phone calls, helping people to figure out what it is they need to do to help get the word out, to get the vote out. We're going to be bringing him on in just a second. He's going to be a speaker at the American Priorities Conference here this coming week, starting Thursday, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Carrie and I will be there, 6th, 7th, and 8th, along with all the crew, all the usual suspects.
Oh, yeah.
All the deplorables.
It's the who's who. And, whoa, we have a knock on the door there.
Yep. And just before we bring Scott Presler on, what I want to do is I want to play a video that he posted up this morning that is at the top of his Twitter feed. And let me get this set up. And this is what he has at the top of his Twitter feed. And this is where I'm talking about grassroots, folks. This is selfless, spending time selflessly helping to make America great again. And this is what you can do, your part, if you so choose. Here's Scott Presler today.
Okay, it is Saturday morning on December 1st, and we are a group of Trump supporters out here in our Virginia Beach neighborhood, and we're spending our morning picking up trash. And not only that, but we have wrapped presents and collected toys for tots. So we want to show that even after the election, even during winter, even during the Christmas holiday season, we are out here in our community giving back, making it a more beautiful place to live. So thank you so much to Jocelyn and Eli and Tara and Colleen for being out here today.
Awesome, awesome. And we have our special guest, Scott. How you doing, buddy?
Life's pretty good. Hey, 53-47, right?
Nice. Yes. We now have new numbers for the what race was that?
For the Senate, Republicans control 53 seats in the Senate. We added to our majority, and Democrats, including the independents that always caucus with them, are at 47. So
you were helping with Mississippi, and did you also get involved with the Georgia?
I, of course, helped them. I didn't travel down to Mississippi, but no, I wanted every single person to know they had to vote in that Mississippi election. The Democrats, look, they're fired up. They're fired up even in red states. But the one thing that I did want to remind people of that's happening right now is there is an election in Georgia, the Georgia runoff for Secretary of State on Tuesday the 4th. So everybody in Georgia needs to get out and vote for Brad Raffensperger and also Chuck Eaton. These are two statewide races for the Georgia runoff on Tuesday that we need to win. And in Louisiana, there is a runoff for Secretary of State on Saturday the 8th, Saturday, December 8th. Please vote for Mr. Kyle Ardoin, Republican in Louisiana.
Now, is there a way that people outside of these areas can help out?
Absolutely. They can make phone calls. This is pretty much how I spend my free time, which is almost nothing. I basically will ask people from all over the country, hey, will you call into Georgia? Hey, will you call into Louisiana and help get out the vote for these Republicans? And people will do it. See, this is what the Democrats have been doing for years. And in fact, I live in Virginia, right? And in 2017, we had Democrats take 15 of our House of Delegates seats. And that's because Californians poured in hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. And what they also did is had people writing in postcards, making phone calls all the way from the left coast into our coast.
That almost sounds like what went down in Texas with Cruz and Beta.
Absolutely. And so we're taking a page out of the playbook of the Democrats. And I'll tell you one thing that I'm going to be talking about at the American Priority Conference this next weekend is I want to ask the RNC, the GOP, whoever I can get my hands on to listen to me, that we need to do a project like what we did, #Letters to Voters. We had a great candidate named Josh Hawley in Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget it. And he won. He won his race defeating ultra-liberal Democrat Claire McCaskill. And she was the most vulnerable Democrat, and we sealed the deal. And I had hundreds of volunteers across the country riding into Missouri from all over, Maine, Mississippi, Florida, you name it. These people wrote letters into Mississippi saying, we need you to support our military by voting for Josh Hawley, support tax cuts by voting for Josh Hawley, support Missouri jobs by voting for Josh Hawley. And we did it.
Wow.
So let's learn from the Democrats.
Right.
And their tactics against them to win.
And yeah, absolutely. And we were complaining when we opened up the show. We were complaining that the RNC and the GOP, for whatever reason, I know Bill Still came out with a video and kind of highlighted how the GOP had some issues, the RNC had some issues back in '82, and promised never to be around the polls and never to get involved. It's something crazy that may be a conspiracy, may not be. But the thing is that they have not been effective in getting the vote out. It was the Tea Party that took back 2010. It was the Tea Party that took back 2012. It was the Tea Party that took that turned into the Trumpocrats.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, only because I actually think Ronna McDaniel is good for the GOP. And I'm actually really glad that President Trump has rehired her.
Okay.
See, I worked for the GOP, for the Republican Party. I was actually a regional field director. So I have a different perspective because we on social media, as you all know, we're social media people. This is how we communicate. We get our energy and we talk to each other and we strategize through Twitter. Now, people don't understand there was a hashtag going on in 2018, defy history or lead right. Unless you go to that hashtag specifically, you didn't know that the RNC and the GOP were registering voters.
Yeah,
I knocking doors. Were doing all those things. So I'm a man that does give credit where credit's due, and I do want to point out that the GOP has been doing things like President Obama did as a community organizer, because that's what I was. I learned how to register voters, knock on doors, become a community organizer.
So you're giving us hope. So what you're saying right now to me is you're giving me hope that we're actually turning the corner, and there's the sunny days ahead.
No, there are. I want to give you two perspectives. One, we're on the right track, because I think it's important that I give you encouragement and enthusiasm and optimism, because that's, of course, what you know me as. But number two, we have to be realists. We have to be realists that we lost the House. We lost several governorships, I believe 7. And we have to be smart and strategic and effective. And in order to do that, and again, this is what I'm going to be talking about at the American Priority Conference this next weekend, we have to look at the 2020 map and say, okay, if we're going to keep the Senate, for example, I can already tell you right now, we're vulnerable in Arizona, Iowa, Georgia, and Maine, and Colorado. That means that we need to start now, today, yesterday, registering voters in those 5 key states. And not only there, but guess what? Look at Alabama. Doug Jones is a Democrat in a red state. That is a pickup opportunity if I have ever seen one. And so everybody listening to the show right now, you need to, if you live in Alabama, visit your local Republican headquarters and say, I want to learn how to register voters. Which again is something that I'm going to be focusing on from now until 2020, teaching people how to register voters, how to do it the right way, how to do it the effective, strategic, smart way. And every single Trump supporter needs to be registering at least 5 voters to make sure that we win in 2020.
Yeah, I got to contribute to what you're saying here. I'm the type of person that gets stage fright. I don't like to talk to strangers. I could never ask a girl out on a date. Seriously, I was just, that's the kind of person I am. And so this idea of walking up and knocking on somebody's door that's, you don't know who this person is or what they're going to say when they answer the door, what you're going to say, or phone call, I can tell you that Brian helped me. Help me through that, because Brian has been in sales, cold sales.
He liked the beard.
Well, this is before he even had the beard. But no, Brian's gone through literally cold call sales and that kind of stuff. So I was like, Brian, you got to help me through this. We got to do this. And this is GOP stuff, knocking on doors, trying to get people to vote for your local Republican candidates. And we did it a couple times, and now I'm just totally comfortable with it. And I urge anybody listening that it's just try it. It's so not as bad as you imagine, because I imagine the worst.
Yeah, well, it's something that Dan Bongino said this week in one of his podcasts, that he was out on the ground, he was knocking on doors, he was making phone calls, and he called back to headquarters and said, hey, I know you gave me the list, 4x4 he called it. They voted in the last four times and whatnot. And so I'm going to these houses, but in between these houses, there are Trump signs, and I've knocked on those doors, and they said, no, I've never voted before, but I'm in. So you got to tell me what's going on. And Dan Bongino said, and this is why I say this, folks, it'll energize you to realize there are a lot of people out there that think like you that just won't get out and do what needs to be done.
And I want to share with you, so back in 2015, before the presidential election of 2016, I myself, as one person, registered 500 people to vote.
Wow.
500. Now, to give you perspective and context of what that means, we had a statewide election in Virginia, statewide, entire Commonwealth of Virginia, that we lost an attorney general's race. The Republican lost by 300 votes.
Wow.
So that means that if my 500 Republicans get out to vote, we could win a statewide election for the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, what that means to the viewers that are watching that are going, oh, I don't matter. One vote doesn't make a difference. One person doesn't make a difference. It does.
Yeah.
And it is the most empowering tool. I am empowered that I can create a Republican voter, motivate that voter, get them to the polls, and help elect a president like President Trump who's keeping his promises. And last thing, because I want to hammer this home. To every person that feels powerless or helpless, look at what we accomplished in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. Nobody, not a single pundit or pollster ever thought those 3 blue states would ever flip red for President Trump in a presidential election. And we did it, which shows you it's all up here, guys.
Yeah.
You have to think positively and it will come into fruition. But unless you think it, you'll never act it.
No, you're 100% right. Yeah, when I saw Pennsylvania fall,
yeah, me too.
It was emotional. It was that landslide emotion that I felt. If we're to win, it's something else that it's been coming up the past couple of weeks after the midterms that I'm having some issue with, and I've seen other people tweeting out about it. A good friend of ours, Sam Keels on Twitter, made the comment that GOP, watch out. You're not fighting back with these fraudulent claims, recounts. Democrats have won every single recount, whatever's going on in Broward County and all this stuff. It doesn't feel like the Republican Party is engaged in a sense that they're ready to fight back against this garbage.
I just don't think the Republican Party does a great job of touting itself.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
I think that's more what's really going on. Like, for example, I mean, look at what President Trump, the reason why I love President Trump's rallies so much is because President Trump is a great PR marketer for himself. He's able to go out there and tout, we have the lowest black unemployment in history. We nixed the Iran deal. We have an embassy in Jerusalem. We have members of the UN actually paying their fair share, you know. I just love that President Trump is a good PR marketer for himself, and I feel like the GOP could use a little bit more of that, of actually pushing out and touting accomplishments and accolades, showing the American people the value of its organization and really why somebody like me should be contributing to the GOP.
Absolutely, and now that you say that, I have Rhonda McDaniels on notification. And this week she tweeted out a couple different tweets that were numbers and pro America. She listed out unemployment lows, GDP, all kinds of different bits of information of things that are going on, the strength of the economy. And I really like the way that she's gone about it. So
yeah, it just comes down to, look, after the election in November, I had to take a moment because everybody who knows me. I was so laser focused on the midterm elections. You have no idea. Everything was Tuesday, November 6, 2018. Tuesday, November 6, 2018. And after that election was over, I had to stop and think to myself and re-engage. Okay, Scott, what's next? What are you going to focus on like a laser beam next? And the two things I always think about are, respectfully, I don't want anybody to have a vacant seat, but respectfully, I always think of Breyer and Ginsburg, because if we truly want to change history and remake the judiciary, then having a 7-2 majority in the Supreme Court is a pretty big deal, which means that we have to reelect President Trump in 2020, which means that we need to have a Senate to be able to confirm anybody. So I always think of everything my mind reads like a chessboard. I think of, okay, if I ultimately want to take somebody's king, what are the XYZ steps that I have to do in order to get there? So right now, I wanted to really make myself the marketer on how to teach people how to register to vote. And that's exactly what I did. I made a plan and I made a PowerPoint, and I was fortunate enough to get connected with Alex and Dr. Jane and y'all with the Tasha on the American Priority Conference. And now here I find myself going to the American Priority Conference to talk about voter registration. So it's about what is the need. And normal, average Joes like me can see that need and go, okay, let's be a problem solver instead of a complainer and create a solution. That's what we need more of. These people on Twitter, less tweeting, more action. And if you're going to tweet more, then act more. That's my only rule that I have.
Oh, Sam's going to love to hear that, because really that's what it boils down to is what it's action. It's getting up and actually doing the thing and taking the steps and just putting your first foot forward to make these things happen. Because when you complain, it's almost like you're saying, hey, listen, somebody needs to do something about this. Not me, somebody else. Somebody else needs to do something. But really, it starts with yourself. And if everybody just says, I'm going to do my part, then all of a sudden you start to see the big changes.
This is the reason why there are so many President Trumps. So few President Trumps and so many Angela Merkels. Because so few people are actual leaders and so many are followers. And it doesn't take a lot. I don't ever mean this conceitedly or that I think that I'm full of myself, but I'm proud that me as one guy standing on a street corner with a sign that said 3.6 million black kids in poverty, why do Democrats choose illegal aliens first? That has been seen by millions of people and has even been tweeted out by people like Charlie Kirk. So I know that one person standing on a street corner literally helped change the world.
Yeah.
And it may take a while to get that through your head or to even fathom that you have that power, but we have insane power.
Right.
It's just about honing it and saying, I can. And I know that sounds cliche and you can laugh about it, but literally, it's the power of the mind and getting into yourself positivity, enthusiasm, excitement, optimism, and the ability to say, I can, I will, and I'm going to.
And that's something else I've said in some of my scopes here recently. I know I've been getting a lot of people talking to me about they're frustrated with all the anger and the violence, and they're frustrated with no justice for those that need to come to justice.
Yeah, like the deep state people.
And they're really frustrated and angst, and I share your frustration. I understand, and I always say, in due time, God bless America. It's going to happen at the right time, at the right place. But if you're feeling that right now, get engaged. And once you get engaged, you'll realize that kind of stuff falls away because it's just rhetoric, it's just BS, it's just them lashing out because they got nothing else. And know that you're doing something to move the ball forward.
Or like, for example, everybody was saying, Scott, we lost the House. We lost the House. We lost the House. And they're all focused on that. So I put things in perspective. And I put out all of the governorships that Republicans have won, which include, by the way, the impressive list of New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, Georgia, Florida. And that is a small part of the long list of governorships. And they were like, okay. And I also said that, look, we increased our majority, which hasn't happened for decades, of a controlling party actually winning seats in the Senate as opposed to losing them. We added to our majority, and they were like, thank you for putting things into perspective. So as a community, it behooves us as leaders to, when people are feeling downtrodden or they're focusing on the voter fraud or they're focusing on the negativity, we have to be that source of inspiration to actually put things in context and go, no, we did okay. There's room to grow. Let's focus on where we did poorly. Let's focus on where we did well. Let's focus on where we need to be in 2020.
No, absolutely. Working forward to 2020, picking up more seats in the Senate, very possible. Taking back the House, I think very, very possible.
100.
Not only that, but I know this may be kind of weird, but the fact that we lost the House, I think, has energized a lot of people to say, oh, man, I could have done a little bit more.
Yeah.
I could have got a little bit. Man, it was so close. Maybe I could have knocked on one door more. Maybe I could have given one more weekend. So I think there's more energy coming out of this.
I think the fact that we were having so many successes, and I was worried about this for a while, and I'm actually worried about it for 2020 for re-election for Trump, is that people are like, oh my gosh, Trump made America great again. It's so much better. We have all these positive, metrics that we can point to, and everybody just goes about their life and enjoys the great America that they live in, not realizing that they have to fight back when the Democrats try to roar back and take it back, and not to. Like, they forget about how bad it was. I actually have to remind myself, we founded this radio show, which is now like a TV thing now, that because of how bad America was under Obama. And I have to actually physically remind myself, like, man, do you remember how bad it was?
And when we stopped doing what we needed to do, I think in the 90s, we weren't doing what we needed to do. And I know Bush was elected and whatnot, but I'm kind of juggling on that. And we didn't do what we needed to do to expose Obama for who he was. And I mean, myself included, I fell asleep in the 90s on politics.
Yeah.
And I really, really woke up after 9/11. And at that time, the media had too much power, destroying Bush and forcing the election of Obama as historic. And that's why you got to do it, because Chris Matthews got a tingle down his leg. So I'll just say, how do you beat that? And McCain, God rest his soul, I feel like he was a placeholder. Mitt Romney, a placeholder. It was just.
Well, we have to look at history. History repeats itself. And we had Reagan for 2 terms, and then we had Bush Sr., correct?
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a quote that I want you to always remember, to everybody that's listening, and I may screw this up, but hold on.
You could paraphrase it.
It's basically, great men create good times.
Yeah.
Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Bad times create great men. And just like your radio show, how a bad time created something good, now what we're seeing is people saying, wow, things are good. I don't have to fight as hard. And I'll tell you, I was talking to my mom and dad the other day, and I said, Ma, I'm frustrated because I'm young, but this battle is never going to end, and I'm going to have to fight until I'm an old man, until the day I die. And she goes, you know what? You're right. And that's just the fact of the matter. This isn't every 2 years. This isn't every 4 years. I'm going to be battling the Democratic National Committee until I die. And that's just the fact of the matter.
Right. Winston Churchill would never have been elected during peacetime. Ever, ever, never, 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 never.
And then Reagan said that we're only one generation away from losing freedom. And so that's what we're talking about fighting for your whole life, because there's one generation comes along and we get another Barack Obama.
Ulysses S. Grant would never been appointed power if it weren't for dire times, and we've said on the show many, many times before that it took 8 years of Obama. It absolutely took 8 years of, because we were accepting Mitt Romney. We were out there in the field knocking on doors. We accepted Mitt Romney. We said anything but this, and God said, "Nah, man, nah, I got him coming. It's just not ready yet." And so I just pray about it and move forward. But yeah, it absolutely took 8 straight years of Obama, and it took the threat. The absolute historic threat of Hillary Clinton getting a hold of the reins of this thing. Oh, Lord.
Well, and I also want people to think of the silver lining. There are a couple examples of timing being everything, and you just mentioned Mitt Romney, right? Look at what happened with him losing in 2012, and who would have ever thought today he would be the senator-elect of Utah? And look at the wonderful state of Kentucky, where you're talking to, I am a Trump Republican, but I also have a very healthy Tea Party vein in me. I'm a troublemaker. I am.
Nice.
I'm a definite troublemaker. And in 2014, I wanted Matt Bevin to primary and beat Mitch McConnell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we fought hard for that. We fought hard for that.
Today, a Mitch McConnell supporter for helping to get us in 2 Supreme Court justices.
True.
And 59, I believe, district judges and 23 circuit court judges. And we have the governor of Kentucky, who is Matt Bevin.
Yep.
So it just shows you that everything happens in its time for a reason. And we just have to not only, I call it faith plus action. It's not good enough just to have faith. Faith is good, but you have to act on that faith. And when the two are coupled together, that's when you create magic.
100%. And just saying this, Jeff Flake, I know you're not listening because you get upset about the show. And Tim Scott, I don't know if you're listening or not, but the two of you together, you're not going to stop the movement. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jeff Flake. You're not going to. You've got 5 weeks left, and whatever it is you think you're going to do, so be it. And again, folks, you can't get upset about Jeff Flake. He is what he is.
My favorite movie growing up, you may have seen this. It's called Labyrinth. It's what David Bowie used to do.
What do you mean? What do you mean that was our era? That's Gen X era.
And I love that movie. And what I keep thinking about is at the end of the movie, when he thinks that he's won, David Bowie thinks that he has all the power, that he has the control over this girl. And she turns to him and she goes, "You have no power over me." And I always think of that when I think of Jeff Flake because he thinks that he has all this control. Meanwhile, we're going to pass all of these circuit court judges and district judges, all the ones that we want as soon as you're gone. So really, you're just stopping. You're just moving the inevitable just a few weeks back.
Right. And so some of the numbers that are coming out that Donald Trump in 2 years has placed more judges, circuit court judges than any other president in history. It's historic. Absolutely. And, I don't know how true some of these reports are, but Bill Still, I go to Bill Still because he's got a lot of connections and he's usually not wrong. But there's some rumors out there that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is probably finally going to seek some help. I think she's got some ailments going on and maybe spend some time with the family come the new year. That being the case, if you guys think that the Kavanaugh thing was bloody, if you think that was rough,
you ain't seen nothing.
Because
you haven't seen anything. When we're going to replace respectfully,
yes.
Thing happens because I always want to point that out.
Yeah.
And when we need to take the high road, and as leaders, we set the example for the community. And so when Ruth Bader fell down the stairs, which was awful, dreadful, I was one of the first ones to come out and say we wish her a speedy, swift recovery. Because look, she's a grandma to somebody. We all have a grandma. We don't actually wish ill will or anything to anything. But with that being said, we have to prepare for the future and make sure that we have a Republican Senate majority and that we are able to replace any vacancies with a conservative constitutionalist on the Supreme Court.
So do you think that, we gained seats in the Senate? Do you think that it'll be a worse fight? Because I think that because of our gains in the Senate, it almost feels like the argument can be made that the only reason the Kavanaugh fight was so bloody was because, the Senate's pretty close. What was it, 51-49?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, so it's kind of like all we needed to pick up is 2 Republican votes and we can stop Kavanaugh. So it became bloody. But with the Senate in the numbers that it is now, it almost seems like a total lost cause, right?
What? No. In my opinion, though, the Democrats, because they know they can't win it, will scream louder.
Well, I actually agree with both of you. I think no, seriously. I think Brian's correct that they're going to scream even harder and bang on more doors
they claw at the door.
Try to pry open the door. And they're going to have more people like Julie Sedgwick, who apparently attended 9 rape parties and kept going to the rape parties and kept going until it happened to her. I think it's going to be an even bigger circus. But with that being said, we have now a buffer zone. If Romney, Susan Collins, and Murkowski all flake out, 3 flakes, if they all flake, then we can still win with 50 votes and Mike Pence serving as the tiebreaker. So I agree with both of you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, solid. That's awesome.
So we'll still win no matter what. I'm hoping. Yeah, and so with the Senate pickup, this is so great. Trump will have his first choice. You know, the Kavanaugh thing, a lot of people don't know this, but it's been rumored, very, very credible rumors, that Kavanaugh was McConnell's choice, and that McConnell told Trump that the only way we're going to vote on anybody before the midterms
if you want
is
it done,
it's Kavanaugh.
Right. If you want it done in time, a quick fashion, I'll make this happen. We can get Kavanaugh in.
Which was probably maybe Trump's second or third choice, so he couldn't get his first. With this Senate majority and everything the way it is now, we'll get Trump's first choice for sure the next time around.
And this is the art of the deal. Trump is a smart businessman negotiator. He knows how to get things done. Because ultimately, look, we're not thinking one move ahead. Like I said, this is chess. You're thinking down the line. What do I have to do to set the pieces of the puzzle in order to get to the prize? And so if he wants Amy Barrett as to replace a vacancy, and he has to get in Justice Kavanaugh, who I think has demonstrated that he's actually a great family man and a good constitutionalist, then he has to get him in there. I'm all for it. Do what you have to do legally in order to win and to preserve the movement.
Right.
Well, because you know that the Democrats will do everything they can legally and illegally to win.
They will. They will.
Fighting on fair terms. Right. I said fight fire with a volcano.
I made an analogy the other day amongst my little circle of friends that the Democrats are like, it's like playing a family board game, family night, and you're playing against somebody who is non-stop trying to break every rule and cheat.
Who's that?
And anytime, not naming any names, Brian, or anybody else, but they demand that you show them in the rule book where what I just did was not allowed, and then you got to go through.
Oh, I don't do that because I know it ain't in there.
Well, and here's the thing: when you finally either A, you're like, well, I don't know, and you give up and you don't want to stop the game to look for the rule that they're breaking, or if you do find the rule and say, listen, you just broke the rule, they say, oh, okay, well, fine, and then you go on. And he accepts that he broke the rule, but he doesn't have any consequences. And it's like nonstop. That's what the Democrats are. They break every law. They demand that you point out where they broke it. And then when you finally do, they're like, okay, fine. And then they move on and nobody goes to jail. Nobody gets punished.
Rockefeller, he had a saying. He said, if you ever want to make your kids good and great and really sharp, whenever you play games with them, cheat.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Well, it's another element of the game. It's an element of the game that nobody realizes. If you're not looking for it, you'll never see it.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. Go ahead, Scott. What do you think?
One fighter who I really respect is Senator-elect Rick Scott, because he did fight against the voter fraud, and he did say he was going to do everything in his power to stop the Democrats from trying to steal the election, and he won.
Right.
He allowed the Democrats to do it. He reassured and affirmed himself. And look at what he's doing now. He, after Brenda Snipes tried to sneak her way out of resigning out of her supervisor of elections, Governor Scott was like, oh no, and he suspended her. So now she has dropped her resignation and is going to fight her suspension, because it all has to do with the pension, the money.
Oh,
She's
right.
going to get that big fat
doesn't
pension.
deserve it.
Hold on. So if she gets fired, it kind of goes down like McCabe. You don't get the pension.
So, to my understanding, if she gets suspended / fired, whatever, then that big fat pension goes away.
They said
Governor Scott, I love that he's shrewd.
They said that she's been getting paid. Her paycheck is $200,000 a year for the last 20 years.
That's too much money.
Something crazy. The number was $200,000 a year. I don't know how many. I know it's at least a decade. So I'm just saying, she's been pillaging down there for a long time.
Well, I'm telling you right now, we've replaced, Governor Scott has replaced her with, his name is like Peter Antonacci. Don't quote me on that, Antonacci. And we're now going to have a Governor Scott ally serving as the supervisor of elections for super Democratic Broward County. So I'm saying this now 2 years in advance. Everybody is going to be very shocked, I think, by the numbers that come out of Broward County in 2020 and matching them to 2018 to 2016.
Oh, man.
That almost sounds like the key is to stop voter fraud.
Or not let anybody rent an Avis rental car the day of the vote.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, any last words? I know you're going to be speaking at American Priorities Conference coming up here 6th, 7th, and 8th. Folks, I've had this up the entire time you've been speaking, Scott, but his name's Scott Presler. Just put the @ symbol in front of that, and you'll find him on Twitter.
One S on Presler.
Very critical.
Yeah.
Right.
Would somebody put 2 in there?
Oh, I mean,
oh my gosh, all the time. Some people put 1 T for Scott, 2 S's. I'm like, who raised you? Scott with 1 T?
Who raised you?
But no, in all seriousness, I'm really excited to be speaking at the American Priority Conference. Go to AmericanPriority.com. But no, I'm hearing we're going to have some amazing people like Corey Lewandowski, David Bossie. They're going to be there with a new book about the deep state, which is real, talking about the players within our government. And to anybody that questions the deep state, before we go on a different vein, look at Peter Strzok. Look at Lisa Page. We have people within our government trying to undermine our president, which means that people like you and me, the average American citizens that elected him, he needs us. He needs us to be firmly with him, supporting him, helping to register voters, helping to reelect him in 2020, because there are people that are trying to stop him and undermine him within his government.
Right. You got Rosenstein, you got Mueller, you got Weissman, you got all these dirty dogs that are connected to the Democrats. The Comeys of the world, they're all connected. The McCabe's of the world, they're all connected. And this is what John Brennan, all these dirty deep staters. And that's why Trump needs us out here doing what we do. Absolutely. Project Veritas doing it. James O'Keefe doing what he does. We all got a small role, some bigger roles.
Yeah.
Some bigger, signing up 500 new voters. That's huge.
But Scott would say anybody can do it. Just get out there and do it, right?
Anybody. No, literally. And I'm here right now at the home of a mom that loves her daughter so much, and she was never an activist, and she became one because she cares about the future of our country. And it's amazing the stories of people that you hear, that the amount of grandmothers, I swear, it brightens my day. The amount of grandmothers that message me that say, I want my grandchildren to have the futures that I had growing up. What can I do?
Wow.
So I don't care if you're 16, 60, or 90, every single one of us can be an activist and make a difference.
Awesome. And so are you going to be there all 3 days of the conference?
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'll be there all 3 days. The hair will probably be down, so get ready.
Oh, boy.
And you're how tall are you? 6'5"? How tall?
I'm 6'5".
Ah, nailed it.
I'm continuing to grow, continually growing, because every time I get in my car, it gets a little bit smaller, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I got the hair, which is like down here now. So I'm pretty impressive to look at. You don't know what you're looking at. Is it like a Bigfoot? Is it a behemoth? I don't know, but I will be there.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. We will see you here in just a couple of days.
That's right.
Folks, jump over and grab your tickets right now.
All right.
AmericanPriority.com. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you so much, Scott, for being on. Awesome.
Wow, that was great. Incredible. Yeah, we hung out with Scott in St. Louis.
Okay.
Oh.
That was the interview live?
That was live.
Yeah, that was live.
You're supposed to close it, Brian.
Supposed to close it.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my
Good thing you didn't bust out with some cuss words right there. No, that's not Scott.
No, Scott's not like that kind of guy. No, but absolutely, folks. We
hung. Muted yourself.
I did. I muted myself.
So he couldn't hear you.
Nope. But I'm talking about it. So we hung out with him in St. Louis. It was a great time.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Folks, a lot of these people that you see that are on our show, even us. I mean, there was a lady that was messaging me on one of my scopes that said that I'm driving to D.C. for the Walkway March.
Yeah.
From Missouri. I'll see you there. I said, well, come find me. Come look me up.
Yeah.
And she did, and we got to talk.
Yeah, I remember that. You introduced me to her, and I was like, you introduced her as a fan of the show and everything. I was like, oh, that's cool. And we're all there.
Yeah,
we're all there.
We can hang out. You find out where we're going to go grab something to eat at. We can hang out, have something to eat, and just talk and just chit-chat and whatever, and it's all a good time. Everybody is there for a very similar reason. Whether you're a one-issue voter or a multi-issue voter, I promise you're going to find somebody to connect with.
It really feels like family when we go out there and meet up with these people, and it's just great.
Absolutely. Our next guest, in the other meeting.
Well, maybe.
Next guest. I hope the next guest knows that we're on. When the next guest does come on, I'll let y'all know. I'm still kind of waiting on the next guest. I haven't heard back from her here recently. Last week she had
got multiple confirmations on her from multiple different people.
Yeah, but, she had electrical problems last week, and hopefully that's been fixed.
Right.
Okay. So this show, I got a lot of these videos. We were talking about a lot of voter fraud. We were talking about what you can do and why we need to do it, where some of these things lay at. And let's jump in real quick because I know this was kind of a hot button topic. I'm going to save Laura Loomer and the Twitter debacle, the issue with Twitter and the people being banned on Twitter. I'm going to save that for our guest, Dr. Jane Ruby.
Okay.
Because she was there with Laura Loomer.
She was the videographer.
Yes. 1.4 million views on that video that went viral. What was that?
Definitely viral.
Tuesday night, I'm going to think.
I know it was very shortly after we had Laura on.
Yeah, we had Laura on, and then also, I was going to say Tuesday night, but it was 1 million views within less than 12 hours.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it was rocking.
When I checked it like an hour after the broadcast was over, maybe 2 hours at the most, it was already at 400,000 views, so it went mega viral, flat out.
So here's why we got to stay plugged in, folks. The caravan issue is big, and that's because the Democrats need a fresh new batch of voters. Why are they doing this? Why the chaos? Why the upheaval? Why are they getting everybody triggered? Why does it seem like they're sticking their fingers in an electric socket and blowing the fuses? Why are the Democrats doing this? Because, folks, the rules for radicals.
Okay.
Rules for radicals. In the book, Rules for Radicals. First off, if you're not in power, you must create all kinds of havoc, create all kinds of problems and issues, upheavals, create all kinds of turmoil. The more turmoil that you can cause and create, the better. Rules for radicals. So when that turmoil is created, all the angst and all the protests and the march of walk on, sit on Wall Street and Black Lives Matter and Antifa, the more that you can do, then you come out and say, elect us, we can stop it. We can make this go away. We can stop it. And in Rules for Radicals, they talk about how people, citizenry, innocent, just regular citizenry that are peaceful, regular people, will want this to stop. And the more havoc that you can cause, the more problems that you can cause, the more that you say that you can solve them, the more likely a peaceful citizen will vote for you out of the hopes of it really stopping. It's the theory. It's a theory, and don't think that that's not...
I think it's been proven in practice.
Yeah, don't think that that ain't really happening. I mean, look at all the hell that we're going through, and you would think that people would be like, damn, I don't ever want another Democrat in power.
You would think. I mean, here's the thing. I have to remind myself that not everybody is thinking about this stuff 24/7 like I do. It's not like everybody goes to work in the morning and puts on Glenn Beck, followed by Rush Limbaugh, followed by Sean Hannity on the radio, right. and then go home and listen to all the different scopes and all the different YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to, and steams on this, and even reads books on, Enlightenment philosophy and the founding of our country and how it all happened and how it went down and all that kind of stuff. And this is what I've been doing for the past 5-6 years now. And I got to remind myself that not everybody has the time to do that kind of stuff or has the ability to do that. I mean, even now, like Brian has trouble catching some of the shows because of his employment situation right this second. Whereas maybe a couple years ago it was like, okay. And I'm even getting into that situation now where it's like, man, I haven't listened to anything all week. So it's kind of like I got to catch up on Twitter. But at the end of the day, there's a certain philosophy that our founders were well in tune to, that most people who believe in the Constitution, that believe in conservatism or their version of it or their understanding of conservatism and the Republican principles and all this kind of stuff, it's not enough. It's not what, it's different than what the founders were thinking, because the founders were thinking about this stuff all the time because they were being abused by their government. And so it's like we try to just keep people up to speed on this kind of thing. And I hear some noise. Sounds like somebody.
It sounds like somebody's there.
Did somebody call us? I am hearing sounds, things that go bump in the night.
Okay, so before we have our next guest on, hold on, folks. Before we have our next guest on, we ran long with Scott, which was awesome. Great chemistry. Just got a message from him. He's ecstatic at how things went.
Great.
I have a clip of Martha Bonetta that I put together of her. This will kind of give you a little bit of a flavor of who she is and where she's coming from. This is our next guest who will be at American Priorities Conference, Martha Bonetta, and here's her minute clip.
And as you know, he touched the hearts and minds of the West in our country, the heartbeat of America, the bread belt of America. For far too long, our farmers have been neglected and not given an even hand in trade all across our country. And our president promised to make American farmers first, and that's exactly what he has done. He's done that by evening the playing fields when it comes to tariffs. He's provided more opportunity also by deregulating the burdensome red tape that is weighs so heavily upon the American family farmer. And the fact that our president has done so much for rural America by making rural America first, by making our American farmers first, by deregulating burdensome regulations, it's going to make a huge difference in these midterms and particularly in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The American people crave these opportunities to have one-on-one with the President of the United States and the Vice President. We just had the Vice President in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and having the opportunity to have these rallies, to have these large town halls, the American people love it. They want to interact with our president. Many of them stand in line for hours and hours and hours for the opportunity to experience what I believe is, the greatest president in the history of our country.
And with that being said, without any further ado, welcome to the show, Martha.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Absolutely. Awesome. No, we are absolutely. This is our pleasure. Thank you so much. Martha is going to be speaking at American Priorities Conference.
Yes, and I am so excited. I can't wait to see everyone. Let's see, we're having a women's luncheon with Katrina Pearson and Dr. Gina Loudon. They're both advisors to the president, surrogates for the president for 2020. And I'm just so excited to be on a panel with them, and it's going to be incredible. We also have Corey Lewandowski joining us, Dave Bossie, also advisors to the president, and they just came out with a new book called Trump's Enemies. And everyone that comes gets a signed book from them, and they get to hear firsthand from Corey and Dave. And we have, Anthony Scaramucci is coming too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Holy smoke.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
There's a few surprise visits, few surprise folks coming, but I, of course, it's a secret, so I can't share that.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm sure that it's going to be a pleasant surprise to everybody.
Of course. Absolutely. So, Martha, what at the women's luncheon, is there anything in particular that you're going to be focusing on that you're going to be talking about?
Sure. Well, women in our country are the driving force behind our economy, and that's been the case historically. And now, so more than ever, people always complain that President Donald J. Trump, not not fully understanding what he has done for women in our country. He has lifted up so many women. This is the lowest unemployment for women and minorities in our country in the history of our nation. And I'm so excited. What we're going to do in this panel is we're going to touch the hearts and minds of women all across our nation. We're going to give them the toolkits to go out into their communities, to entrench in their communities, to get other women fired up, to go out and vote, and to support our president, and to support candidates that support our president as well.
Wow, that's incredible. We just had Scott Presler on, and that's exactly what we were talking about. He's going to be speaking as well. He's a grassroots type of guy, talking to people about how easy it really is to make a big, big difference. And just as long as you know, if you have the information, you know how easy it is, and you realize, oh, man, that's something I didn't even know. Now you know.
Yeah, and I'll tell
you, every day since President Trump has been in office, it's been like waking up and it's Christmas every morning.
Yes.
like the movie Groundhog. It's like every day I wake up and I feel like it's Christmas, and it's because how many times do we all get tired of candidates that promise the world and don't deliver? Right,
our entire life.
That's where our country. Yeah, and here we have a president. Promises made, promises delivered. He promised he'd move the Israel embassy. He did it. He promised that we would have peace talks in the Korean Peninsula and to denuclearize. He did it. And everybody said, oh, we'll never have a trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. And guess what? What time is it? He just did it.
It just happened.
I mean, right. And so, and it's indisputable. When I speak all over the country, and I don't always talk to conservatives. I don't always talk to folks who are libertarian, right of center, Republican conservatives. I talk to people from every walk of life. And even folks that did not support Donald Trump, it's indisputable that he's done more in his first 500 days than any other president has in the history of our country. And so we're going to have folks pumped up and fired up. This is a conference by the people, for the people. And let me tell you, this is the place to be in Washington, D.C. Folks are coming in from all over the country.
So you're already there right now. How's it look? Like, what are people going to expect when they show up? Is it going to be beautiful?
It's absolutely stunning. So much love has gone into this, so much hard work, and everybody is just really excited and fired up. Everywhere I go, people ask me, what time should we arrive? And folks are just really excited. You're going to see so much liberty bursting from that Marriott in Washington, D.C. Wow. It's going to be something. We have all kinds of media that are going to be present. We're going to be doing live interviews right there. It's really the place to be. If you love America and you love this country and you love this president, that is the place to be.
Now, I just saw on this website, it says you're the executive vice president of Citizens for the Republic, founded by Ronald Reagan in '77. How'd you get that gig?
I'll tell you, it's a good question. It's a good question. So I was not, I feel so blessed and honored to have been asked by Reaganites. And these include folks that served with Ronald Reagan. These are individuals that were part of the Reagan Revolution. And what they did was, Ronald Reagan created Citizens for the Republic. And that was his way of doing what Donald Trump is doing right now, entrenching all over the country. And the organization Citizens for the Republic went dormant for some time. And with this administration, there was so much excitement to breathe new life into it, to relaunch it. And that's exactly what we did. And I felt so privileged and honored. I'm the youngest and only woman they've ever had in that role.
Wow!
And it's been a privilege of a lifetime. I got to go to the Reagan Ranch and really experience the place where Ronald Reagan and Nancy, spent their time at the ranch in California, and just have had the opportunity and the privilege of meeting so many incredible people. And I truly believe that in my lifetime, I am witnessing every single day the greatest president we've ever had in the United States of America. I can't remember Ronald Reagan, so I can't speak to being engaged in that presidency because I wasn't. But I am here now, and I'm seeing a great man deliver his promises to the American people every single day.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The only part that I know of Reagan is that the people where I grew up at, people that started a business in the mid 80s to late 80s, if you started a business, a new business, became wildly successful. I saw a lot of that. I remember, and Carrie remembers this, in the early 90s, right after all of that, you could get a job anywhere.
Right.
I would literally quit a job because I just didn't like the boss, or maybe I had issues I had to work on, but whatever reason, I'd quit a job knowing that tomorrow I could walk into another place and get another job.
Right.
I mean, jobs were plentiful and things were, I don't know.
America was great back then.
Yeah.
It was. It really was.
And we even talk about racism. I don't remember that back then.
It was, race relations had gotten very, very good by the early to mid 90s. Very good.
I think so.
And Barack Obama, just kind of, I remember thinking to myself on some of his actions, wow, I feel like he might be setting race relations back 50 years. But anyway, I digress. I have a question for you.
And I'll tell you, speaking of employment and jobs,
Yeah.
there is so much hope all across our nation. I mean, America is finally open for business again. And and we have a president who's making America first. He's making our veterans first. He's making our farmers first. He's making everybody first because he's focusing on our country and the great love that he has for this nation. I see it in him. I know you do too. And it's just a privilege to be able to really witness firsthand all of the amazing things this administration is doing. There's hope all over the place in our nation. Great prosperities ahead. And, to witness so much excitement everywhere we go is something, it's an experience of a lifetime, I have to tell you. And it's just going to get better. And the critics, the fake media, the haters, all of them, time and time again, they're proven wrong. And it's really been extraordinary to witness. Being here in Washington, I'm here where members of the administration and their families can't even go and have a dinner, private dinner in a restaurant without being heckled or harassed.
Yeah.
I mean, and believe me, I am the strongest advocate for the freedom of speech. I would walk on burning flames and broken glass to protect our freedom of speech. But seriously, folks, can you just leave people's families alone when they're having dinner?
Right.
I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. I mean, seriously.
Well, Hillary Clinton did say that if you want that all to go away, just vote for her.
Right. I mean, how outrageous is that? Maxine Waters.
Yes, push back.
She needs a timeout. Seriously. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
It's bad.
But we're fighting back, and I'll tell you, we are so strong. We are so strong, and we're going to see even more great things to come. And I'll give you another example. Here we are, and we are witnessing firsthand that this president, I am so tired of politicians promising the world and not delivering.
Right.
And I know we spoke of that. And, to witness this president time and time again, make his pledges to the American people come true. It's amazing. And we need more of these candidates to follow in those footsteps. I mean, maybe we should give them not even a 3 strikes and you're out rule, but you make 3 promises. You break 3 promises and you're done. That's it. You're out.
For life.
What do you think?
3 strikes for life. for life.
If you're listen. You heard it right here on the Smith Show that if you're running for office and you make 3 promises and break them, that's it. You're done forever in politics.
You can't get back into good graces. Don't tell me that you're deregulating to get back in my good graces because it ain't happening.
That's right. You're done. You're toast after that. And this administration pledged for every new regulation to wipe out 2, right? But on average, it's been 21 to 22 regulations that have been thrown out for every new one. I mean, this is like a dream come true. I mean, this is a dream none of us want to wake up from because it's just been so great for the American people.
Now, I think you are you a business owner?
Yes.
Okay. For somewhere I read something about that.
So how I got involved is I own Liberty Farm. It was my childhood dream to be a farmer, and bought Liberty Farm. I couldn't wait to worked really hard, sacrificed a lot to have a working farm. To me, it's the greatest profession in the world. It's the hardest I've ever worked in my life. Yeah. I think every politician should spend a day mucking stalls on the farm.
There you
go. Really should. If you can muck stalls on the farm, it's the greatest education I've ever had for politics. I mean, mucking stalls. Let me tell you, you see a lot of muck here in Washington, a lot. And but yeah, so bought the family farm, started working really hard, and I loved it. I was just so thankful for the opportunity to live my childhood dream to be a farmer. The next thing I know, the bad guys come in and they try and regulate me off the farm, threatened us with $15,000 a day if we kept our doors open. And it was terrifying. Absolutely. I had the alphabet soup of government agencies coming in and out of our farm, harassing our family, demand inspections, shut us down when we were in full-on harvest. And I'll tell you, I'm living, breathing proof that if we stand strong, we speak truth to power, and we're not afraid, we will win. It took me 10 years, but we won.
Wow.
10 years of fighting against the bad guys, but we won. Yeah, we changed the law twice in our Commonwealth, and we've created a template for farmers all across our nation to know that property rights and freedom are inseparable. Freedom stands on the shoulders of property rights, and when the bad guys come on your farm and they try and take it away from you, to stand strong and fight back and not be afraid. And we created a little tsunami. We had rallies all over our state. Then we started creating a national movement. And, I'm here to tell everyone on your show that's listening, don't be afraid to fight back. Don't be afraid to speak truth to power, and to know that, we can and we will win. We just have to stand together and really fight back against overregulation. That's a burden on all of us.
And if you guys are tired of the screaming and yelling coming from the left, turn the TV off. Don't listen to it.
You come from a long line of politicians that end up going Republican, they're conservative, that started off as business people who were abused by their local government, and they said, you know what, I'm taking a stand, and then they go into politics. Jim Renacci had that issue. He was being beat up by his local regulations for his business, and said, you know what, I'm running for Congress, and he won in Ohio. And
that's right.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you that the bad guys, the radical extremist environmentalists that were in cahoots with local officials that started this whole thing. Boy, they sure wish they messed with the wrong farmer, let me tell you. When I first started, I was so afraid to publicly speak, and now you can't get me to be quiet. I mean, I speak all over the nation every day. I inspire and fire up people every day to fight back, small business. The best government is the government that governs least. And, just get out of our way.
Right.
Let us live the American dream. Let us uphold what our forefathers planned for our great nation, and get out of the way. And so I really, I'm living, breathing proof that the American dream is alive and well. It's worth fighting for, and that we should fight for it. And I get calls every day from people all over our country that are being overregulated out of their businesses, not just farming, but all kinds of businesses. And I tell them, don't be afraid. Go out there and fight. And we'll make sure you have an army of supporters with you, and we're going to win. We will win. We just can't give up.
And it's just a story that was in Indiana. A lot of tobacco farmers in Indiana and Kentucky as well. But when you're growing tobacco, you need a lot of water, and usually they have a pond or a lake or something of the sorts. And there was a guy that I knew that got all the permits and regulations, had it built, and it was actually filled. I mean, that's how long this went. And EPA came in and told him, said, if you don't fill that back in, 10,000 a day or whatever it was, they fill it back in.
You can't make this up.
No, they overrode the local. He got all the permits. He did everything right, and the EPA said, "No, man, no, I don't think so."
That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so egregious because our farmers really are the heartbeat of our country.
Yeah.
Really are, built our nation. And we're making American farmers first. And the problem with the old administration, well, there's many problems, but the one problem that this president corrected almost immediately right out of the gate was the WOTUS rule, Waters of the United States, that was created under the Obama administration. Basically, the way it was written is that if you have a puddle on your land and it was navigable, you could put a little plastic boat on it. If it was navigable, it really meant that it didn't even belong to you anymore.
So
that's how egregious and crazy.
Yeah, I remember.
So is that why my friend got in so much trouble?
I mean, I don't know his situation in particular, but think about how egregious it is.
That's awful.
I mean, and look, when the bad guys want to take your land, they don't have to come with a bulldozer. They can overregulate you off the land. They can make your life such a nightmare that you're forced off of your land. And I just want everybody to know that, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to fight and fight and fight until I remember when I was going through this process and they shut my family farm down when we were in full on harvest. And I remember thinking, this can't be America. I mean, This is not the American dream that my mom and dad told us. Growing up, I'm the youngest of 3 girls. My parents said, if you're willing to work hard, you can be anything you want in life. Anything. The sky's the limit. And here we work so hard. And we were shut down for farming on our family farm when we're in full-on harvest. I thought, whatever this nightmare is, when is it going to end? And it got a lot worse because what what the bad guys do, if they can't win on the facts, they will fabricate, they will lie,
Right.
they will do everything they can. You know, nothing's off limits to win. And I remember I did an interview, and I said, nobody is taking my family off of this land. They can try to shut us down, overregulate us. I mean, the things that they did, the lengths that they went to steal our farm from us. I said, until my last breath, I'm going to fight for this land, and we did, and we won. And you know, it's proof that if you're willing to fight back and you speak truth to power, you can prevail.
This is reminiscent of Russia.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Demand inspections. They came in almost like, you know, in the dark of night, although it wasn't in the dark of night, but they came in and they photographed our personal private possessions, you know, demanded to look in our closets, climbed on our chairs to see what we had in the attic. I mean,
oh my gosh.
This, and we have videos of it. Oops. Did I lose you?
We're here. I got you. I got you. You just go ahead and set back up whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Now, so we have Martha Bonetta on, and we're speaking about big government, over regulations, and big government, and how real life fight back, and you can win. You can actually come back with this. And I'll tell you what. Speaking of coming back and winning, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the show.
I guarantee you, the comment sections are saying that the deep state knocked your phone over.
Yeah, they got you.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you, the deep state did it.
Yes.
The deep state did it.
Guarantee you. Okay, she's back on. Awesome.
But yeah, no, so you're saying that if you stick in there, you fight through it, you get through it, truth will prevail. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort and probably, unfortunately, a lot of money. And I know they prey on people because they have an endless bank account. What's Mueller up to? 39 million now? I mean, it's just endless.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing I want everybody listening to think about. We were outnumbered. The government has an unlimited coffers paid for by our tax dollars to fight us, right? The bad guys have more money than they know what to do with to bury you. But we the people. We started a tsunami. We started a movement. We started having, all kinds of demonstrations all over the state. We started petitions. We started, literally, if you were running for an office in Virginia and you didn't support this legislation to help the small family farmer, you were done.
Wow, that's awesome.
It didn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you're running for office and you don't support, the small business, small mom and pop, small family farmers that just want to make a living and be left alone, forget it. You didn't have a chance of winning. I mean, both of our bills were bipartisan bills. Both of our bills were unanimous on the Republican side. And they were made to know that they would be held accountable at the polls if they didn't do what was right by the people. And that's what we have to do. We may be outspent. They may have more money. They may have perceived more power. But guess what? They serve we the people. They serve we the people at the end of the day. And we were determined to hold them accountable. And that is exactly what we did. And I speak to people all over the country and help them have the tools that they need to fight back in their states. And we're going to keep doing that until I can no longer speak. So,
well, and that's where the American Priorities Conference comes into play. That's where this comes into play, where we can connect, recharge, meet up. And when I say recharge, these events, folks, if you've never been to one, you absolutely owe it to yourself to do whatever it takes to get to this one. This is going to be the flagship. This is the first one.
This one's unique because, and the thing that really, I love the name American Priority. You go to AmericanPriority.com to get your tickets. And I think that the name says it all of the uniqueness of what this is. And I was just going to see if Martha would want to share with us what American Priority means to her. Everybody has their own thoughts on it. Yeah, and so what would you say?
For me, I grew up in a hardworking family. My parents, they instilled a really strong work ethic in us, and my father served our country. We just grew up with a real love for our nation and a real love for what it means to be an American. And, my father, having served, he'd been all over the world, and he would tell us, there is no place in the world he would rather live and raise his family than right here in the United States of America. And we grew up with such a love and respect and appreciation for our nation. And for me, it means making America first. It means making our veterans first, making our farmers first, making our citizens first, making our country a priority. And to me, it means, that's what our forefathers intended. Thomas Jefferson wanted our nation, our forefathers wanted our nation to be the shining beacon on the hill. And somehow or another along the way, there are those that would throw American patriotism on the altar of greed, right? On the altar of power. And they would sacrifice what our forefathers, what our veterans, what those that serve our country are willing to die for. They'll just throw that all away for whatever their agenda is, their agenda du jour, whatever their agenda at the moment is. And for me, what it means to have American priorities means, making America first in every way. America's open for business right now. Companies want to come, they want to do business with us, jobs galore. And it means really, in everything we do, remembering why our nation was created to begin with and living up to the great vision that our forefathers had in everything we do. And I feel so blessed to be a part of this. The people I've met, the friendships I'm going to have for a lifetime as a result of this, unbelievable. I'm really excited about it.
So are we.
That is incredible. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely 100%. And you see in Donald Trump's actions, America is coming first in his mind, his thoughts, his actions. America's first. You're absolutely right.
I am excited about this conference, and I'm excited to meet you in person when we get there.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see you guys. I've heard so many great things about you.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Don't believe a damn one of them.
Oh.
It's all good. All right. And folks, follow Martha Bonetta on Twitter at Paris Bonetta. B-O-N.
Yeah, it's Paris Barnes because
Paris
family
Barnes.
farm. Yeah, I want everybody to come visit us. My family farm is in a little town called Paris, like Paris, France, Virginia. We're an hour and 20 minutes west from the White House. It's surreal. You leave the swamp, you leave the concrete swamp, you drive west, and all of a sudden you call it agricultural rural farmland.
And that's easy to remember. So the name literally means the physical barns, right?
Yeah.
In Paris.
So we have an old historic barn.
Okay.
And, it's really easy to remember. Paris, Virginia. We've got this big old barn and Paris Barnes.
Paris Barnes.
That's it.
I was wondering. I was like, is that like a maiden name, Barnes?
No,
it's literally a barn. Okay,
it's literally a barn.
Okay, gotcha.
Sweet.
Paris Barnes. Awesome.
All right, awesome. We will see you here in a couple of days. Thank you so much, Martha.
I can't wait to see you all, and I'll tell you, I love America, and I love this great country, and I'm just so excited about this conference. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys then.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
All right, awesome. And you guys need to come out and meet her along with everybody else that's coming to this conference. I'm really fired up about it. I mean, this thing started off as just this little, like, hey, let's have a get together. Let's kind of make it like CPAC. And all of a sudden it got serious real fast. All of a sudden everyone's like, I want in.
Well, when you say let's have a little get together, I mean, this was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it blew up fast. You know why? I don't know if you guys know Chris Barrett. You could find him on Twitter. He's he got a blue check mark and everything, and he's big into media and PR and all that kind of stuff. He does that professionally, and he said that this is what's missing in the entire MAGA movement. This kind of conference. We went to the Gateway Conference in St. Louis, and we kind of commandeered that, right?
Yes.
Like the people, our people, the MAGA people, the new right media type people kind of, descended upon St. Louis, and we kind of took it over, but it wasn't our thing. And CPAC, much too big at the time for us to take it over and commandeer it, because that's enormous. This is from the ground up a mega conference, and it's never been done yet. It's been talked about for a long time. I remember, dare I say, I think it was Mike Cernovich early on who said we need to have a CPAC type of thing, but for MAGA people. In a lot of ways, the New Media Gala was kind of like an attempt at it. So maybe in a way that maybe this is the totally first stab at it, but this is the first one that's like kind of being attempted on a professional level, and it is. It's very, very, very professionally done, and you guys will see. There were some pictures that were sent to me of what the lighting and the seating and the ambiance looks like.
Absolutely.
And I didn't share it because I didn't want to get in trouble because it might be a secret, but oh my gosh, is it beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. It's going to be one of the things where when you start seeing pictures from this thing and you didn't get a ticket, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I really blew it.
That's such a loser.
I blew it.
No.
Yeah, so definitely get out there.
All right, so we did Martha, Scott Presler, and we're waiting for our third guest, Dr. Jane Ruby.
Oh, I'm going to need a wire. I got the thing. I need a patch.
She might be coming on, if you want to text her, she might be coming on Vimeo.
Oh, that'll be good.
If you got her number, text
her. Okay. Yeah, I get it. No problem.
Check your DM on Twitter.
I'll do that.
Brian's got you set up. So while we're doing that, again, folks, there's a lot of things that are going on. Let me hit one of the big things that came out this week. If you didn't quite see it, let's do Obama. This week, Obama talking about the economy, talking about Trump's economy, this thing that's just rip-roaring, crazy fantastic. This is your ex-president Barack Obama, who cannot get out of his way when it comes to, and he's the first Democrat that agrees with Trump that the economy is awesome. Nobody else agrees with Trump that the economy is awesome except Barack Obama, who's insanely jealous.
I was extraordinarily proud of the Paris Accords because, look, I know, I know we're an oil country, and we need American energy, and by the way, American energy production. You wouldn't always know it, but it went up every year I was president. And that whole suddenly America's like the biggest oil producer and the biggest that was me, people. I just want you to it's a little like, sometimes you go to Wall Street and folks will be grumbling about anti-business. I said, have you checked where your stocks were when I came in office and where they are now? What are you talking? What are you complaining about? Just say thank you, please. Because I want to raise your taxes a couple percent.
Because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
That's your former President Barack Obama. Just absolutely so insanely jealous over the economy. Now, he said to the crowd, just thank me. I mean, you're welcome. Come on, man. Hey, what do you mean America was the biggest oil producer? Yeah, that happened under me. What do you mean America's all of a sudden great again? That was me. I did that.
I didn't build that.
What did you say you're going to do? You going to make a deal?
I did.
Who you going to make a deal with? Who going to negotiate a deal with?
I got a magic wand.
This is insane, folks. This is crazy. It's driving. Donald Trump is absolutely driving these people nuts with how great things are becoming. And just some of the stats I was telling you earlier about that Ronna, R-O-N-N-A, McDaniels, she mans the Twitter account for the Republicans. She tweeted out a handful of very positive stats, things that are happening that people are missing about the economy. real quick. Oh, there she is. Ronna McDaniel. Latest economic numbers show our economy is still booming under real Donald Trump. Lowest unemployment rate since '69. Consumer spending grew at a fastest pace in 7 months. Incomes rose by largest amount in 9 months. And something that she didn't add in there that I'll add in there. GDP was unrevised for last quarter and is holding strong at 3.5%, which is phenomenal. Some of the other great news, Scott Adams says, at Scott Adams says,
okay,
tweeted out, see if you can find the news on CNN about President Trump successfully persuading President Xi to classify fentanyl as a controlled substance in China. It's the biggest news of the day. Has to be someplace. And so, where's the, okay, here's the, for those of you who are on the video portion of the show, here is the picture of the front page of CNN. It looks like a little stuck. I'll show it to you anyways. All right. That's the front page of CNN, and there is nothing on there of the sorts. None of that, but you can't find anything where Donald Trump said that he is taking Air Force One and going to fly the casket of George H. Bush, who, if you didn't know, passed away last night before. Passed away.
It was on the 30th.
Yeah. Passed away the night before at 94. You don't see anything about Donald Trump and all the great things that he's been doing this past few days. No, nothing about that whatsoever. And that's funny. They got an ad for Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson at the top for March 26, performing art. He's in a little bit of hot water.
Is he? Oh, he's being accused?
Going up against some allegations.
Oh, the Me Too movement?
It's allegations coming after him.
Well, it's not about the nature of the evidence. It's the seriousness of the allegations.
Correct. The seriousness. John Cardillo, he tweeted out this. He tweeted out this headline, and I'll read the headline first, and I'll read his comment. The headline says, Trump fixed Obama's mess and... Oh, sorry. That was what he said. The real headline said, world's most competitive economy. U.S. regains the crown it lost 10 years ago. John Cardillo said the headline might as well be, Trump fixed Obama's mess in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. We were really distraught. We founded this program out of our. We were really, really distraught about my dad. He was gone. My dad said, "You can't save America. We're already off the cliff. We're just on our way down. We haven't collapsed and lost the country. It's not dead yet because it hasn't hit the pavement yet, but it's gone over the cliff. We're just on our way down."
It's like you're Bugs Bunny in that telephone booth. You don't feel the wind coming at you. And so what we do is we just open up the door and you just step out at the right time.
Oh, right.
And you'll be just fine.
Do you guys remember that? Where he steps out right before it crashes? And
it crashes, but he's fine because he stepped out at the right time.
Right. Anyway.
So the wall got 10 feet higher. This is by one of our buddies, Carpe Diem, on the Twitters. He put together this on Donkum. He put this together about the wall just got 10 feet higher. This is the hypocrisy of the Democrats, one after another, and then Donald Trump.
Our immigration system is broken.
Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
The people who should be here are those who come legally.
We have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay.
You have some very, very bad people in the caravan. You have some very tough criminal elements within the caravan. But I will seal off the border before they come into this country. And I'll bring out our military, not our reserves. I'll bring out our military. 10 feet higher. The wall just got 10 feet higher. That's right, 10 feet higher. I said the wall just got 10 feet higher. 10 feet higher. The wall just got 10 feet higher. 10 feet higher. I said the wall just got 10 feet higher.
I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm building a wall, okay?
Nice. That's got a good beat to it. I think we need to make that a full-length song.
Yes,
go for it.
Absolutely. It's some great thing. So when you go to AmericanPrioritiesConference.com and you get your tickets, or if you're at SmithRadio.com or SmithTV.com and you see the P, the big giant P that has the American flag colors running through it, click on that and it gets your tickets. Once you get your tickets, you're going to get to meet these folks that make these memes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to teach you how to meme. Teach you how to do it, or show you.
This will be his first public appearance. I don't want to give him a little scare or anything, but this will be the first time he's shown himself,
which is exciting.
Now cameras won't be allowed, so.
Oh no!
He could still be incognito. He'll be there. He probably has been to every one of these events. You just never knew.
Right.
He's just some guy off to the side that's like, "Hey, man. You like this conference? It's cool.
It's pretty cool, huh?"
And you don't even realize you're talking to one of the most famous meme guys on the internet.
I'm Brian. What's your name? John. Oh, hey, John.
My name is Carpe. Carpe? What?
Carpe. That's kind of interesting.
Okay. Donkum.
Donkum. I said Carpe Diem.
Mr.
Because that
Donkum.
is what it is, Carpe Diem. But Carpe Donkum.
Is Donkum, is that Latin?
That's Latin for seize the meme.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe.
It don't matter. We're Americans. We make this stuff up on the fly.
That's true. That's true.
So now that we're talking about the caravan stuff, let me get some of these things out of the way real quick, folks. We had some great interviews. Kind of ran a little bit long with a couple of them. Waiting for a third very, very special guest, Dr. Jane Ruby. When she's ready to come on, she'll just pop in and we'll go right to her. But here's some of the videos that you may not have seen this week about the caravan.
So look at this guy through the fence here. He has what appears to be a brand new smartphone, and I thought they were poor and starving and hungry and they had nothing and were coming here for a better life. But look at this. Where do they get the money to have these smartphones?
Well, I think these people are more like middle class, and they're radicals. They're the vanguard that came up first in the air-conditioned buses that Soros or somebody else paid for.
Wow.
Whatever it was, folks,
they're not that poor. Come on.
No, they've got cell phones and dressed fairly well and flipping the fingers off and stuff and whatnot. And then you had what went down. Here, we'll do this as another real quick one. We've got citizen journalists on the ground in Mexico. They're there on the ground in Mexico getting the real story. This is what I love about this, folks. This is why you support Smith Radio. Because it's folks like Carrie and I that can bring this to you that you may have missed.
The hard-hitting journalism.
We find these guys. We follow the guys. The guys are following us. They're sending us texts showing us, hey, check out this video. Check this out. And this is what's really going on the ground in Mexico.
I'm going to show you guys the food line. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the food line. You guys tell me if this is the women and children that the media is saying. Are these women and children? I don't care about the looks, to be honest. I don't. Okay.
Wow.
Haven't seen one woman yet.
Lots of younger
haven't
men.
Seen one woman yet.
20s,
Okay,
30s, early 30s, 20s.
men.
Fighting age
Look
men.
at the ages. Men.
Oh, they look well built. I mean, there's people.
Men. Okay? Men.
There's like no women, no children.
Men.
They're all in line for the food truck.
Men.
Where's the women?
Men. More. Men. Oh, I haven't seen one woman yet, guys. Men.
He's still walking. This is like a line at the Trump rally.
Let's just say for discussion's sake, they went chivalrous and let the women eat first. If I go any further, that's the end of the beginning of the line.
Wow. I mean that wasn't 4,000 people. He probably showed maybe a couple hundred maybe. I didn't count, but he certainly walked far enough to have surpassed 100. Could he have cherry-picked this? That's tough. That's tough. For that long of a stretch, to be only young men, built like pretty well-built men, not starving, not old and,
wheelchair-bound or crutches or...
Yeah, I'm trying to... There's just no way.
They are healthy-looking, working-age men.
Right, and I mean, am I missing something culturally? Is there something in their culture where the women sit in the shade somewhere while the men stand in line on their behalf?
No. No. In their culture, women labor twice as hard because they do the babies and they do the work. Lots of laborious work.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that.
No, it's true.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Another citizen journalist, real quick. These are only 1-minute clips. Another citizen journalist. She is on the ground in Tijuana. TJ for short, for those of you in Westwood. That's what we call it down in SoCal. TJ. So she's there and she's uncovering that there's supposed to be a march on Tijuana and a march on the border. And this is what she found out.
So a march in Tijuana on the border on behalf of like the caravan?
Right.
Okay.
They're supposed to organize. There was a time set, a rally point, and they're supposed to make this thing happen.
Hi, so we're right outside Benito Juarez once again, where there was a march planned for about 11 o'clock. The leaders of this caravan are trying to get the march kind of going, but a lot of people over here are very angry. They're saying, no, we're not going to march to the line again. We know that they're not going to let us into the United States. And their frustration, they're saying right now that they feel frustrated that they have not been told the truth. They feel like they've been misled to come here to Tijuana, thinking that the United States would have to let them in.
They
or
were
that
told
they would just
that.
present their card from Honduras, and if they had a legitimate asylum claim, that they would be let into the United States.
But they
and now they're
don't,
upset
and they know
saying
they
they're not
don't.
going to march today because it's not safe. It's not safe for the children, and that's what's going on right over here.
There's very, very few legitimate asylum claims. And by the way, if you know how asylum works, you can't do it from Honduras. You have to seek asylum in Mexico, and only if you're denied in Mexico could you even have any chance of being granted asylum in the United States.
Right, and Donald Trump worked out a deal with Mexico that the asylum seekers would stay in Mexico while waiting their claim for asylum. They're saying now that the numbers are 90% of the documents they've gone through, 90% don't even warrant a look through for asylum.
So you're not saying 90%
are being declined.
You're saying that 90% don't even get to
smell tests.
They don't get to be checked to see if they get declined or not.
No,
they failed the pre-check.
And the pre-check is what is your asylum? A lot of them are saying, I look for a good job.
I don't get a good job.
No, and they're like, no, getting a good job in America doesn't. That's not asylum seeking.
Since I can't get a good job, I need asylum.
Yeah, that don't work.
Well, I need asylum somewhere.
I need asylum too.
Oh, don't let your boss hear that.
Oh no, them is jokes. No, I love my job.
Okay.
I love my job. And so we also had on this week on the border, we had the tear gas. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Briefly, I guess they fired some tear gas canisters, and they were prominently pictured some women holding children, their mothers holding their children, and running away from the tear gas. And so is that a thing?
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Well, Gateway Pundit actually had a picture and took there's a huge wide picture of the woman with the two babies that were pantsless and shoeless.
And they had like a diaper on. But Brian, you tell me, because you have young children. Mine's getting a little older, so I kind of forget these things. Didn't they look a little old to be in diapers?
That's third world country.
They look like they were like 3-4 years old.
That's the coddling, and it's what I've seen.
Okay,
it's the lack of discipline and the lack of rules and regulations, and they'll just you'll be out of diapers when you stop pooping yourself, I guess. I've seen that way too often.
Oh gosh.
Where kids are wearing diapers at 3 and 4 years old, 5 years old. They're
something got stalled out in the development if they reach 3 and they still have to wear diapers.
There was a woman we knew, I knew her very, very well in Southern California, that her daughter, she had another baby. So she just had a newborn, and her daughter was around 4 and 5 years old.
Okay.
And walk into the living room where all the adults were talking, lift her shirt up, and she's hungry.
Okay.
And it just kind of weirded me out. I'm like, what's that all about?
You mean like she was showing her belly like it's empty?
No. The 5-year-old went to the mother and lifted the mother's shirt up so she could get something to eat.
Wait, you mean like breastfeeding? Oh my God. I was told by a mother, a very wise mother, when you know it's time to stop breastfeeding. And that is when the child asks for it.
Yeah, she was asking for it.
If the child verbally asks for milk, then it's getting too old.
Nobody in this culture found that to be odd.
Oh wow!
So I'm just saying. So the tear gas and whatnot. Gateway pundit Jim Hoff had a big wide shot of the mother and then the entire background with the fence, and he pointed out that there were 3 to 4 different cameramen set up with 3 to 4 different displays of what was going. It was like reenactment time. It was like the Civil War reenactment. Different camera crews in different spots. And then right in the middle of it all was a group of people that just weren't even moving.
Yeah, they were just kind of hanging out. Like,
just chilling.
Get the camera out, man. This is the photo op opportunity. Something like that.
Yeah, he's like, well, we'll get you when it's your turn. You guys just wait right here, okay?
Oh, it was a line of people. It was a casting call.
Yeah, it was a cattle call.
Oh,
cattle call.
Okay.
For the casting couch.
Okay, so, well, here's the thing, real quick for those of you who are not, and Brian would definitely be able to give a lot more detail on this, but a lot of times, I'll never forget when Jason, my brother, went to a casting call for a commercial. You know what they did? They had all these kids lined up. This is when he's very young. And they all did the commercial. Every one of them. They all... They had to reach up in the air and grab for a bag of potato chips. They all did it. They were all filmed doing the commercial. It wasn't to see whether or not you get chosen. Literally everybody did it. And at the very end, after they had all the kids filmed doing the commercial, they picked the one that did the best job.
Yeah, pretty much that's what it is.
So in this case, they have everybody run from tear gas, or so we're told. By the way, I didn't see any tears.
Somebody had a smoke bomb and the wind was blowing a small stream of smoke across the desert plains.
Okay, kind of like they try to make it look like the mustard gas of World War I or something like that in the trenches.
It looked like a really bad Chrysler, pumping out some white smoke.
I could see that, or some sort of a Cold War era Soviet vehicle.
Oh, wow.
trying to get up a hill or something.
Yeah, or Yugo.
So they were basically just going to record everybody one at a time. And at the end, this woman carrying her 2 diapered 5-year-olds.
She made the cut.
She made the cut. All the rest of them were cut out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I can see that.
So Dan Bongino and Geraldo Rivera are both on Sean Hannity's show, and Geraldo is getting, he's going full board. He has just gone so wrong, so bad. Dan Bongino puts the screws to him. You got to hear this.
Yeah, Geraldo, again, I appreciate your nice comments. I consider you a friend, too, but you are way, way off base on this.
Of course.
I've stood at roll calls. I was a law enforcement officer. I'm not looking for anybody's pat on the back. Your tax dollars paid for it. It was a great job. But I asked you the same question Sean asked you. You're given a lot of platitudes. Nobody wants to see anybody tear gas. You win. Point stipulated. We both are empathetic to that. But that was not the choice of the Border Patrol officials. The choice choice was made by people who stormed the border illegally. And I ask you a very simple question, and I would sincerely appreciate an honest answer. You're standing in the face of these Border Patrol agents, patrolling our border, just doing their jobs to keep our nation secure. What do you tell them to do when a rock comes at their face? What? What's your answer? Nobody produces an answer. They just produce platitudes. What do you do?
This is what you do. This is what you do not do, Dan. You do not shoot tear gas
I didn't ask
at
you
women
what you
with
don't
small
do.
children.
I asked
you do
you
not
what
do that.
you do.
And you and Sean are both the grandsons or the great-grandsons of immigrants.
Oh, boy.
Italian
Yeah, they didn't throw
immigrants,
rocks.
Irish immigrants. They were slandered just like you were slandering these people with these.
My wife Paula's an immigrant.
They have diseases. They're bringing disease. Read the newspapers from the middle of the 19th century. The Irish were bringing diseases. The Italians were bringing diseases.
The question.
This is a slander.
They did actually. That's why they had Ellis Island.
Becoming a better life. What you don't do is you don't put 6,000 GIs with fixed bayonets at the border.
What do you do when they're throwing rocks and bottles at our agents?
All right, here's what you do. You send Spanish-speaking ambassadors to the crowd. You explain to them that they are not going to be able to rush the border. You explain to them the facts of life. You explain to them the reality of what's happening.
There's hundreds of them charging at them.
This is a stain.
Okay, hold on. Now they're showing video of police in Mexico with riot gear on, the full face shield, the big giant body shield, as well as helmets and all the gear. And they're showing how they're being overrun at the border for those of you who listen audio only.
Trump presidency, that
there
it would be
are
very difficult to
hundreds
eradicate.
charging the border and charging at police. What if it's thousands? What do you do then? That's an important question you need to answer.
Are you going to believe those words? Are you going to believe your own lying eyes when you look at the...
What? Lying eyes. You know, he is such an idiot because for him to look, they were going to storm the border if they weren't allowed to cross. And that's why they stormed the border.
Right.
Because they were told they can't come. What does a Spanish-speaking ambassador who's going to tell them, guys, and this is in Spanish, I'm going to do it in English.
Hombres.
I'm going to translate it for you. Guys.
Hombres.
You're not going to be allowed to cross here.
No se puedo.
So, what? I don't know. What does no se puedo mean?
You can't do it.
Okay, so no se puedo. How is that going to fix it? What, because they're speaking their language? Is it a language barrier that made them decide to storm the border? Like, hey, I don't think that they're going to stop us. I don't think that we're not allowed to do this. I don't think that, I think it's okay. Let's go. Why did they have to run? Why, you know what?
And they were chanting on the border, si se pudo. Si se pudo, meaning, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can do it. I say, no se pudo. No, you can't. I'm sorry, man.
All right. So
go back home.
And that's what's with the rocks?
Well, that's why they're all upset, too. They wouldn't even go on the march.
Geraldo insulted my ancestry by basically comparing them to people who feel the need to throw rocks at American officials. Could you imagine, my Irish ancestors and German ancestors didn't come over to Ellis Island and start assaulting American officials. They just didn't do that. And by the way, the reason they came to Ellis Island is because they brought disease. And the Ellis Island was there so that they could filter out the ones that did and didn't have disease. And the ones that were diseased, there was an attempt to bring them back to health. And if they succeeded in bringing them back to health, then they eventually let them in. The ones that were already healthy, they would let them in, assuming they passed any other kind of vetting. But the ones that were diseased had to be in an infirmary or whatever, they're quarantined until they were brought to health. The whole purpose of Ellis Island was because they were bringing disease. So for him to say that they're being slandered because it's being said that they're bringing disease is an outright outrageous lie. And it's actually slander against anybody who is pointing out the facts. If I point out the fact, hey, they're bringing disease. We need to maybe quarantine them to make sure that they don't get through that have diseases.
Well, we have facts. Facts on the ground are showing there's people with hepatitis. There's people with jaundice. There's people with HIV. There's people with full-blown AIDS. There's all kinds of, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody said that somebody had leprosy. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be shocked.
Whatever the diseases are, they were bringing them and they need to be quarantined. Now, were all of them diseased? No, but if more than a very, very small percent do, it would be extremely irresponsible to not take them all and treat them all as if they're diseased, and then one at a time find out which ones are healthy. And if it's been shown that they're healthy, then move on from there. But obviously, treat the ones that aren't, or send them back. And people died at Ellis Island because they had fatal diseases, and so it's a slander to anybody who points these facts out that we're slandering immigrants because we're calling them diseased or that they're bringing diseases. Of course they bring diseases.
Yeah.
Do all of them? No. But they're a part of a population of people that are bringing over diseases, and it would be extremely stupid to not at least start by treating them all as if they were diseased and then weed out the ones that aren't.
Yeah, you err on the side of caution.
Right. America first, people. We need to protect American citizens by starting off by treating them as if they're all diseased and then having them prove their health to us before we pass them on to asylum seeking or whatnot. And of course, they're breaking law anyway.
Right. And not only that, but Donald Trump said this week, first and foremost, I granted the Border Patrol, I gave them the green light to use force if need be. So good to go, green lit. And did you remember the tear gas in 2013?
I assume that this was the first time that they've ever used tear gas, right?
No. Britt Hume retweeted something out on Twitter. Britt Hume, tear gas was used under Barack Hussein Obama. Where was it? Britt Hume and Britt Hume. This is from Thanksgiving weekend 2013. Remember all the howls of outrage over the use of tear gas?
Me either.
Border Patrol crowd confronts agents. A group of about 100 people try to illegally cross the border Sunday near the San Ysidro port of entry, throwing rocks and bottles at U.S. Border Patrol agents who responded using pepper spray and other means to force the crowd back into Mexico's officials said. And Susan Schroeder and Elizabeth Aguilera, November 25th, 2013 at 5:55 p.m.
I'll tell you what, I mean, deadly force as far as I'm concerned. Did you know that one of the rocks killed a Border Patrol agent this past week?
You were telling me about that.
I mean, this is why you just got to go ahead and probably start firing lethal weapons. I mean, if they're throwing rocks, it's what you got to do. It's as simple as that.
Judicial Watch is on the ground doing what they got to do. Judicial Watch released 224 pages of documents with 1,000 summaries of significant incident reports from HHS revealing unaccompanied alien children processed under the Obama administration included murderers, rapists, smugglers, prostitutes, and human traffickers. That's from HHS. That's from Obama's HHS. That's from Kathleen. Was that Kathleen Sebelius?
Well, and the thing is, so we're talking about alien children being trafficked.
When they say alien children, there was one that was in his 20s.
Oh, right.
And went to the high school and was raping girls and molesting them in the girls' bathroom.
There's mid-20-year-old illegal aliens that people are just assuming are children. Or underage and need schooling. They send them to high school. I'll tell you what, I went to, nobody listening. I'm just going to go ahead and call it out. Nobody listening. I went to a middle school that was a lot like that movie Lean on Me.
Oh, yeah.
That was my middle school for the most part. And one of the things that they would do, since I was an inner city public school product, is when the kids got out of prison for doing whatever kind of murders and whatnot that they were doing. When they got out of prison, they had to resume the schooling where they left off. So we had like 17, 18, 19-year-olds in middle school with 12 and 13-year-olds.
Oh.
And they would bring knives and brass knuckles, and it was pretty scary. Pretty scary. And so anyway, I digress. This is what they have to deal with. This is what the school systems in Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas have to deal with when they don't really know and have no way to really confirm the age of these people. Is that they're in their mid-20s. Do you want your daughter, your 13, 14, 15-year-old daughter going to school with a 24-year-old guy that's doing whatever?
Right, got no morals, no scruples, no nothing.
Right, lawbreaker.
MSNBC is going to fire another reporter because of how truthful this one's being. Apparently, Benny Johnson, at Benny Johnson, MSNBC anchor, gets completely wrecked by their own reporter on the ground covering the migrant caravan. And this, according to the Last Refuge number 2, with the number 2, Last Refuge 2. Remember that genuinely good reporter who went into the New Mexico terrorist training compound and showed how badly the FBI were covering up the issues of weapons, tunnels, etc.? Remember that guy? Well, MSNBC has that guy back on, and he's down there with the migrants in the caravan. And this is
because
good
some people look at these images and they listen to the president who says it's not women and children, it's stone cold criminals. So my first question is, you're in that tent camp. Besides that family, give us the profile of who is there mostly and what are they looking for? Because it seems as though, to your point, they don't actually have the necessary information so they know how to cross the border. There could be people yesterday who were running because they thought it was their only chance.
Yeah, this woman is desperate to get these people across the border. Desperate.
I'm saying leading the witness.
Yes.
Right. And it's very difficult because this has become such a polarizing issue. If we kind of take a walk, you'll be able to see for yourself. Again, this is the inner sanctum.
Okay, now he's walking past a carnival-style tent.
Yeah, you're not carrying a tent like that with you. Somebody set that up.
What kind of cost would that, something like that? I mean, that would be hundreds of dollars to rent and to set that thing up and set it up.
Right.
The shelter. So you're going to see a lot of families here, a lot of women and children. But the truth is the majority of the people that are part of this caravan, especially outside, if we can make our way all the way over there, we'll show you the majority of them are men. So when this becomes a polarized political issue in the United States, you have people on one side that point and say there are women and children here, and that is true. And then there are others who point.
There are hundreds of porta potties lined up. Hundreds of porta potties.
And say these are men that are trying to cross the border, and that's true too. From what we've seen, the majority are actually men, and some of these men have not articulated that need for asylum. Instead, they have talked about going to the United States for a better life and to find work. But if we come this way here, we're just gonna leave. This is where there's a food bank that's set up, and you've got a long line of men. Earlier, we saw about 500-600 men standing in line waiting for food, and it looks like that's dwindled down. But this is the outskirts, and we're going to pass through here. I'm going to show you where there's some police officers, and this is the outer perimeter. This is where we're starting to see a large portion of police that are forming up on each side of the caravan. So this is the outskirts over there. Way down by those trees, there are police, many police in riot gear, and we don't know if they are here to actually protect the migrants, which is another thing that we've heard, because there are people here in Tijuana that want these migrants to leave, or they are here because they may make some sort of incursion into this shelter and try to remove.
Wow, that was something that MSNBC certainly did not want to be reported. Wow.
So what do you know about getting wrecked on camera? She got wrecked. So, and another thing, Charlie Kirk, at Charlie Kirk 11, ICE just arrested a criminal immigration attorney. She was found guilty after purposefully lying on hundreds of asylum cases. She lied about their criminal histories, falsely alleged persecution, and forged multiple signatures. Maybe this is why Democrats want to abolish ICE. Yeah, ICE doing their job.
Well, you know, I try to simplify things down to their simplest elements, you know, all the way down, divide it down to the simplest terms. And the reason Democrats want to abolish ICE is because ICE is the human force that's propping up a border, and the Democrats want to eliminate borders because John Lennon's Imagine is their
theme song.
That's their theme song. Imagine a world with no borders. They think that borders are what cause wars, and that somehow, by the way, there were no borders in all of North and South America when the entire continents, both continents, were completely populated by Native Americans, and they were warring all the time.
Not only that, but now they're done because they had no borders.
Yeah, they had nothing to defend. They didn't believe in land ownership and all that kind of stuff, or at least a lot of them didn't. And but the point is that human beings are territorial. It's why the John Locke philosophy, the Enlightenment philosophy, is life, liberty, and pursuit of property. They had to change it to pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and property. Change it to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness because of the fact that we had to deal with a slave issue.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be life, liberty, and property if you take away the fact that, if you understand that human beings cannot be property.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what the Republicans did. We established
that. We fixed that.
Yeah.
So now that we fixed that, we can go back and resume to life, liberty, and property.
Right.
And that works. The Enlightenment philosophy works. It's been proven time and time again. And part of that is borders, separation of different cultures into areas where people can pursue their happiness.
Right, so, absolutely. Real quick, so I don't forget, this is just a little tidbit of things that are going good with America. Something that happened this week, there were videos and pictures of North Korea and South Korea walking across the DMZ, shaking hands for the first time since 68 years. That's the first time that's happened in 68 years. It is unbelievable what Donald Trump has been able to do with North and South Korea. They're meeting with each other. They're tearing down their walls. They're tearing down towers. They're doing all kinds of things to make the right steps. However long it takes, they're actually making the right steps in the right direction for peace, prosperity. You inject that North Korea with a little bit of capitalism. I'm going to tell you right now, people are going to get a taste of that and not want to let it go. That's for real. Something else that's going on is the Daily Mirror. This is one that kind of made me mad. This kind of popped up today. Daily Mail UK headline: hilarious moment. Trump wanders off the G20 stage before a group photo op and leaves Argentinian president on his own before he's caught muttering, "Get me out of here," on a hot mic. Trump shakes the guy's hand up on stage. It's a big, giant, wide open stage.
Okay.
And then, as he does, he waves and he looks off the stage, and all of a sudden, which the camera doesn't show, but we caught this on information on the back channel, people showed up that Trump was supposed to meet with. And they finally showed up.
Okay.
Right after he shook the guy's hand. He's like, "Oh, hey, everybody." And he walked over there, and he did say, I mean, it sounded like Trump's voice. The camera wasn't on him, but he did say, "Get me out of here."
All right, get me out of here.
Yeah, get me out of here.
Okay.
And the president of what did I say? Argentina. He made it awkward. He stood there and he looked up and looked around and then had his back to the camera. He just, what am I supposed to do here? My handlers are gone. Donald Trump making it happen. He's got things to do.
Yeah.
And him saying, get me out of here, I wouldn't want to be hanging around those fake liars much longer than I have to. Donald Trump making the world safe again, making the world great again. Everybody's wanting to come to the table, and he ain't got time for everybody. So get me out of here. He probably said that to Secret Service. All right.
Get me out of here.
Get me out.
Hurry up, too.
Right. So
get the lead out.
I don't know how they claim that to be hilarious.
Well, who was the butt of the joke? Argentinian president, right?
They tried to. Hilarious moment. Trump wanders off stage as if he's going to see it. Dude, they're trying to pull Reagan on him.
I see what they're doing here. 25th Amendment, the whole 9 yards. Okay.
Pulling a Reagan. Don't you think for 1 second that they're not going to start trying to pull some kind of, because he's 72, you get a little senile, a little crazy. No. They got, that's what they did to Reagan.
Yeah, but didn't he end?
Hey, that don't make no noise.
Okay. I'll just leave it there because we don't know. The fact of the matter is that even though Reagan ended up dying of Alzheimer's, but also Alzheimer's is a long disease and all this kind of stuff. There was speculation that he was suffering from it pretty heavily, even while he was president. Nobody knows that for sure. Totally speculation.
I haven't had a doctor tell me that. I mean, they have their own private physicians.
You would have to be the doctor
that
took care of him that would have to come out and say, yes, he was out of it the last 2 years of his presidency. He didn't know what was going on. But
that hasn't happened.
Right, it has not happened.
Something that if you got a box of tissues, you might want to go ahead and grab them right now. I'm going to have some Here Comes the Waterworks.
Oh, no.
Some tears are coming.
Oh, no.
Bill and Hillary Clinton's 13-city North American tour designed to provide Hillary with a platform to influence the upcoming Democrat primaries has been canceled.
Oh, no. Is it because of her health?
Due to poor ticket sales across the country, the series of live shows billed as an event with the Clintons was also set to line the Clintons' pockets with yet more cash, according to the source who told the American Mirror that Bill and Hillary Clinton's 13-city headline tour has been canceled.
Wow, what a legacy they've left behind.
The first event they opened up to 83% empty seats.
Well, how is anybody surprised by this? It's like the people that love her, love Bill. And by the way, Bill Clinton, for those of you youngsters out there, he was unbelievably popular. In fact, the Monica Lewinsky scandal actually made him more popular. And when he was busted for lying to Congress, it was like, that's why we love him. We love him because he lies, and he's a good liar. And
he's just trying to get a little something on the side.
He's trying to get something. And by the way, look at Hillary, wouldn't you? That literally was their argument. And I should say our argument, since I was I had to walk away. I had my hashtag walk away moment back in the day.
But
that was the argument, and he was enormously popular. And had Bill and Hillary done a tour like this back in the early 2000s, it would have been very, very popular. They would have sold very expensive tickets. They would have sold a lot of them, and they would have made a lot of money. But, the Me Too movement, the fact that Hillary is just the most vile, detestable, hateable person.
These millennials? The millennials?
They didn't know.
You all just found out that Bill Clinton's a rapist.
Right. And that's the thing. People who were older are kind of like, they still remember how much they loved Bill and that kind of stuff. But this new generation was like, Bill Clinton, I know he was president. What was it all about? And then they find out like everything about him. They're like, oh my God. Yeah. So
Epstein, what Lolita Express?
Oh yeah. It was just a disaster. And so this new generation is like, we had a president that was doing what? What?
Yeah, full-blown rapist.
Yeah, full-blown rape. And that's another thing, too.
He was a serial rapist.
That's another very important thing. We all knew about Juanita Broderick, and we all knew about all the other women.
Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broderick. Well, we had Juanita on the show.
Yeah, we had Juanita on the show. We all knew about her, and we all knew about the allegations. But it's only recently that we can all say, he actually raped these women.
Yeah.
Back then it was kind of like, oh, he was doing some, he's cheating. Like the big scandal back then was, oh, he cheated on his wife. That was the scandal. Now we look back and we're like, cheating? Nobody's even talking about that. The fact of the matter is, he raped these women. We had a president who was a serial rapist, and back then that wasn't even on the table. Now that we see that, you can't be selling tickets and expecting big sales. People don't want to go see a serial rapist and actually give him money and reward him with riches for this stuff. And Hillary enabled it. Nobody ever thought of it back then as enabling. It was like she was the victim. Oh, poor Hillary. She has to put up with this guy, this horrible husband. She's a martyr. She's like a marital...
For staying with him.
Yes. She's a marital martyr. And look how brave she is for staying with him.
Right.
And now we look back and we're like, she enabled this. She knew what he was doing.
Yep.
She knew he was a rapist, and she covered for him. And how did she cover for him? By attacking the real victims.
Bimbo attack. Bimbo eruptions.
So all of this is...
Crush it.
Karma. It's all coming back. It's karma.
Absolutely, 100% karma. You could say it's the universe. I say it's God. Whatever you will, you'll get it in the end.
Yep.
So on to people that need to get it in. We need
get it in the end.
Yeah, because it's almost over.
Oh, okay.
The show.
Okay.
The Mueller investigation this week ramped up, and everybody forgot about the MAGA bomber.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Sam tweeted out this week, said, hey, y'all, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all forgot about that MAGA bomber, didn't you?
I've got a little confession to make. Because I mean, as far as I was concerned, he seemed like a plant. It was just too perfect. The van and just everything. It was just too perfect. The fact that the bombs were intentionally designed to be pretty much completely harmless, and because they were destroyed, evidence destroyed, we don't even know if they were actually a danger at all. At all.
This is Sam's tweet. New media. And obviously talking to us.
Yeah.
New media. What happened to fake bomb maker, crazy van guy? Asked the 7 agents taken into custody in 3 different states this morning. At Smith Radio, at Brian P. Smith. They are trying to hide the truth. I don't know.
There's a lot of really scandalous stuff going on here.
There's a lot to be said about that.
And
as my brother would say,
I am a anti-conspiracy theorist. I like to debunk them. Actually, that's my favorite pastime, is debunking conspiracy theories. But there's a lot of funny business going on here. Very, very funny.
Hey, whatever happened to the guy who, the Benghazi filmmaker?
Nobody knows. What happened to the guy that safely discharged a firearm into Comet Pizza?
Comet Pizza.
Nobody knows what happened to him.
How about Tank Man?
Tank Man. What's Tank Man?
In the Chinese Square.
He's living his life in an island somewhere.
How do you say
Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square.
Yeah. Oh, they gave him a mansion in an island, in a tropical island somewhere.
Google Tank Man. That's his name.
Oh, according to the Chinese authorities, he's fine. He's fine. He's good.
No problems here.
He's good to go.
So as you live in a banana republic, as we're feeling like that this week with the Mueller investigation ramping it up, all kinds of people going to prison, all kinds of people getting accused, and people making plea deals. Apparently, This had to do with Don Jr. Apparently, NPR embarrassed the hell out of themselves this week.
Oh, yeah, this is bad.
It was forced to issue a lengthy correction Friday, this by Fox News.
But it was delayed, like, really bad. But go ahead.
Yeah. After falsely accusing Don Jr. of lying to the Senate about plans to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, claiming his statement contradicted Michael Cohen's plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller, the public radio network, which we don't need it anymore.
No.
Paid for by the government, taxpayer dollars.
It's government propaganda.
Right. Public radio network, which receives federal funds, used Don Trump's Senate testimony transcripts of 2017 to report that he said the Trump organization possible real estate deal in Russia faded away by the end of 2014. The eldest son of President Trump then denied the deal was being discussed in 2016. Quote, there was never a definite end to it. It just died of deal fatigue. See what they're doing, folks, and what they've done to Cohen, what they're trying to do to Jr., what they did to General Flynn, what they did to Michael Cohen, and what they did to, who's the other one? Papadopoulos.
Oh, boy.
They tried. See, there was
political prisoners.
There was no crimes committed until Mueller started asking questions and tripping people up on time.
We need a constitutional amendment to protect citizens from this kind of abuse. Flat out. This is the kind of stuff. This is just one thing where the FBI is creating criminals out of law-abiding, innocent people in the way it's like it's a system that creates criminals.
It's like the IRS, and Rush points this out all the time, right? The IRS. I don't care how clean you think you are.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You think you're doing your taxes right? I'm going through H&R Block. I pay a guy.
Yeah, you pay a guy, and yet you're still responsible. Could you imagine having a job where you get paid to prevent somebody from going to jail, but if you fail and they go to jail, you're okay.
Still good to go.
You're good to go. You're good to go. Oh my God.
So if they want you for something, the IRS can get you on. There's too many rules.
Donald Rumsfeld.
Yes, that's who it was. That's who it was.
He wrote a letter to the IRS. It was an open letter, so he sent it to all the different news outlets, to the IRS saying, I did my best. I don't know.
In all honesty, this is factually correct to my best ability.
Yeah, and the thing is you could send all of your financial information, every single sliver of all your financial data, records, whatever, to 10 different tax preparers, and you'll get 10 different tax returns. And you have to pick. And so what Donald Rumsfeld would probably have to do, or what Sean Hannity would do, is he would take the one where he owes the government the most, then he would pile on an extra couple thou.
Oh man!
Sean Hannity tells his accountant to tack on a couple extra thou. Give them more. Like
make sure we get this so right. It's wrong right.
He's literally donating to the IRS in order to prevent from going to prison.
No, he's paying off the IRS.
Yeah,
he's paying them off.
It's blackmail.
It's blackmail. It's hush money.
Yeah. So that's the system. And here's the thing: this kind of abuse is what the colonists were enduring from the British government that led them to not only do a violent revolution, bloody revolution, and the Constitution, but also there were representatives who said, "I'm not signing on to any government crap. As far as I'm concerned, the states can go their separate ways, unless you include a Bill of Rights that basically tells the federal government that you can never do this to people." And even to this day, the federal government is like, "Yeah, I know it says that." I know it says that.
I mean, but who's going to hold us accountable?
It's just a suggestion. It's just a suggestion. And by the way, those words, they don't mean what you think they mean.
Kerry, I know it's there. I know it's there.
Yeah.
That don't make no never mind.
So my point is that you look at what the IRS and, of course, in this case, the FBI and all this stuff. We need an additional amendment in the Bill of Rights to protect the citizens from a system that creates criminals out of innocent people simply because they want these people to be guilty of what they want them, what they're after them for. They're after them for something specific, and they want them to be guilty of that. And when they find out that they're not, they've created a system to get them anyway.
Right.
By creating
and that's
a new crime.
Right, and that's what's happened. The crime that all these people are committing are lapse of memory and time, exact moments of the exact time frames, and they tried to nail Donald Trump Jr. by saying that you lied to Congress about when it ended, and he said no. The damn thing ended under fatigue. It was under fatigue it ended. Yeah, it just disappeared.
There was also, I don't know if it was Don Jr., but I was listening about somebody getting busted for lying to the FBI because they said that they don't remember something that happened. And it turns out that there's an email from a long time ago.
Oh, you're talking about Corsi. Yeah,
Corsi.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about Corsi.
Corsi is going to fight this. So hear me out here. Nobody's making this argument. This is an exclusive for Smith Radio. This is my logic. And I think it needs to be seriously, it needs to be incorporated into our principles of America. And that is that if you don't remember something and the government finds out that had you remembered it, then you would have answered yes. Like, for instance, Brian, did you take out the garbage on garbage night 5 weeks ago?
I don't remember.
Or let's say 5 months ago
on
garbage night.
I have no idea.
So Brian says, I don't remember forgetting to take out the garbage.
Say they find a text from my wife thanking me for taking out the garbage.
Okay, so here's my point. I don't think, you know how they say innocent until proven guilty, they have to find, if you're accused of something, even if you actually do it, if you say, I'm not confessing to anything, they can't just convict you. They have to find the evidence that proves beyond.
These people need to start pleading the fifth.
Well, no, here's my point. My point is, I think that we should adopt a new philosophy. I think that it's already there. I just think that nobody's looking at it this way. That you can't be convicted of lying about anything that you say you can't remember. You can't prove that somebody remembered something.
Remember it, right.
You cannot, it's the human mind. You cannot say, Brian, you told me that you don't remember whether or not you took out the garbage 6 months ago on garbage night, on this particular date. And yet, we have found a text message from that very day that we questioned you about it, showing that you did take out the garbage and you knew you took out the garbage. And yet, you sat there
you had the audacity
under oath with your hand on the Bible. May God strike you down if you lie. And you said, I don't remember forgetting to take out the garbage that night. And you did remember. No, you can't say whether or not he remembered. I think a principle needs to be adhered to in America if we want a just and free America, where if somebody says they don't remember, then that's it. You just have to leave it there. Now, if you want to go back and say that because Brian took out the garbage on such and such a day, that proves something else. And you ask Brian says, I don't remember. And you find out that he did do it, even though he doesn't remember, because the text proved that he did actually do it, and that proves some other criminal activity. Fine, go after him for that. But you can't say, oh, you put your hand on the Bible, and you said you didn't remember, and yet we found a text that shows that you did, and so we contend to you, Your Honor, that he did lie about not remembering.
We need to cut this clip of this out and say Mueller sends man to prison for lying about taking out the garbage.
There you go.
That's what that little segment was right there. Going to prison for not...
You can't...
For saying, I don't remember taking out the trash, and it was proven that you got a message from your wife thanking you for taking out the trash.
Now here's one caveat. What if the night before you took out the garbage and then the next day you're under oath and the FBI agent says, Brian, did you take the garbage out last night?
I plead the fifth.
Well, couldn't you say, I don't remember? And then when they find out that you did take out the garbage and there's proof they, come on, man, it was 24 hours ago and you're telling me you don't remember.
Oh, man, I was sleepwalking. I don't know. I had no idea. It was late.
I think Brian rests his case.
I don't know.
I was sleepwalking.
Johnny Cochran, where's he at? I need old Johnny. Dig him up.
Chewbacca?
Okay. Chewbacca defense.
Oh, gosh.
All right, real quick, let's run through this. We're at the end of this thing. Donald Trump tweeted out, lightly looked at doing a building somewhere in Russia, put zero money, zero guarantees, didn't do the project witch hunt. Not only that, but it would have been 100% legal if Trump did a deal for a hotel in Russia. It would have been legal. It would have been legit. It would have been correct. And there would have been no illegitimacy about it. He could still do one now if he felt like it, but he's not. This proves the witch hunt. Cohen, this by Breitbart News. President Trump blasted Michael Cohen as a weak person on Thursday, accusing him of lying after news emerged that his former lawyer made a plea deal in the Mueller investigation. Quote, he was convicted of various things unrelated to us, right. Trump said as he addressed reporters before boarding Marine One headed for the G20 summit in Argentina. Cohen pleaded guilty Thursday of lying to Congress as a part of a plea deal. The president went on, quote, he was given a fairly long jail sentence and he's a weak person. And by being weak, unlike other people that you watch, he's a weak person. I'll just read it word for word.
Is that word for word?
Yeah, he's
all
a weak person.
Like a couple run-on sentences, sentence fragments, and it's all good.
Trump said Cohen is lying, quote, lying about the project that everybody knew about in order to get a reduction of a sentence. I mean, we were very open about it. We were thinking about building a building, Trump said. I decided ultimately not to do it. There would have been nothing wrong if I did do it.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if he did or didn't. This is such crap. It's basically trying to get the public to imagine if he did this as president.
Yeah, this is being tried in the public, the realm of the public.
The president.
Yes.
The president.
It's being tried in the public square.
It's tricking you into thinking, well, this is the president of the United States. He's been president for 2 years and he's trying to do business in Moscow. No, this was back before he was thinking about being president.
It don't even matter what the date was. It is irregardless, which isn't a word, of what the date was. Don't you like how the old folks use that word? Irregardless.
Irregardless of what Brian's
irregardless saying. Of what I'm saying. I just think it's funny. Anyways, no, it don't make... Come on, man. What are we talking about here? So, Ryan Fournier, don't look now, but 18 months and $49 million later, special counsel has just figured out Donald Trump builds hotels.
Yeah, he builds hotels and he builds international hotels. He builds them overseas. I think he has them all over a bunch of countries.
Mueller now knows this. And has found this to be factual evidence of this.
So some of the details that I heard about was that Donald Trump, some of his people were deciding that if we were to give Putin a very, very, very expensive, multi-million dollar apartment at the top of this hotel, apartment, whatever it was, and for him to live, that this would sell. I guess it was probably an apartment because he was selling
condo, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That it
or a flat.
It would pay for itself because every oligarch in Russia would want to live in the same building, that be able to brag about, I live in the same building as Putin does. And that sounds like good business sense to me. I don't see the idea that this would be collusion that would require the impeachment of Donald Trump is just a bridge way too far. And for anybody who is buying into this, I got to tell you, you're being duped. And don't be an idiot. No. Don't be an idiot. Don't be a useful idiot. Think for yourself. Use your brain. Try to imagine what business people do and how it works and how logically this is not, and this is a big nothing burger, flat out.
So someone who follows us, we follow them. I don't know who it is. It's C_C3_C. I have no idea what that means.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
But tweeted out, Hillary paid for the dossier. Carter Page is not a Russian spy.
Okay.
Papadopoulos didn't talk about emails. Musfud is a Western intel. Mm-hmm. That was the the Maltese professor. And Cohen didn't go to Prague. Hey, by the way, folks, they originally thought that Cohen was in Prague with Russia. That's why they nabbed Cohen.
That. Yeah.
And how did they nab Cohen on that? Because they were doing Spygate, looking through the back end, trying to find a name, and the name Cohen is a common name, apparently, and they found that a Cohen had visited Russia. It was the wrong Cohen.
Oh, gosh. Oh, talk about Keystone Cops. Oh, that is awful.
Manafort never met Julian Assange. Stone and Corsi, who we were talking about a second ago, weren't Assange's contact. Don Jr.'s meeting was a Fusion GPS setup.
Right.
But Trump is crazy for calling this a witch hunt.
That's an awesome tweet. I need to find that guy and follow him.
C_C3_C.
Yeah, it's like C3C with spaces in between, underscores. Yeah, so that's some Twitter handle.
Yeah, and so I put in the show notes. Papadopoulos reported for jail on Monday for 14 days based on not getting his dates correct. Papadopoulos is we the American people are now safe for 2 weeks. Wow, Papadopoulos is under lock and key for 2 solid weeks.
We're safe because he has been removed from society.
Right, he will not be allowed to go. They did it so he couldn't go to the American Priorities Conference.
Yeah. He was going to be a speaker at the American Priorities Conference, and by the way, his wife will be there and speak on his behalf, so we will be welcoming her.
And this is breaking news too. The Comey plea deal. Apparently, Rod Rosenstein knew about the Comey plea deal days before the new acting Attorney General Whitaker, which violates protocol. Of course it does, because Rod Rosenstein has directed his whole damn thing. Anyways, and this is coming out. I'm just going to play just a little bit of this. This is going to blow your mind. Next couple of weeks, this is going to just, Well,
here's an interesting story you may not have seen. FBI agents raided the home of a Uranium One whistleblower. That's according to a new report by the Daily Caller News Foundation. A man called Dennis Nathan Kane has turned over documents to the DOJ as well as to the both House and Senate Intel committees. The documents allegedly show that federal officials failed to investigate possible criminal activity involving the Clinton Foundation and the Uranium One deal. Now, Kane says the FBI repaid him by sending 16 agents to raid his house for 6 hours.
Okay, then he had Dan Bongino on, but we're out of time, and Dan Bongino just lays into it. Here's the thing about this. This guy was a whistleblower for the Uranium One deal because he worked on the deal with the Clintons. He whistleblew, said this wasn't right, got the documents to DOJ, got the right to the right people, kind of like, Seth Rich going to go meet with the FBI.
Yeah.
And 16 agents raided his house in the middle of the night.
He's lucky to be alive.
That is true. Dan Bongino says, from his point of view and from his law enforcement point of view, do not trust anyone on this. This might not be bad. This might be good. This might be awful for Hillary. This might be bad for Hillary or good for Hillary. We don't know yet. He said so. So until we find out,
you can't trust anybody,
right? And it is very suspicious that these events happened. He whistleblew. And then 16 FBI agents who we know we can't trust raided his house. Suspicious on its face.
These people need to be arrested. Deep State needs to be arrested. We need justice.
All right, and then we got Sarah Carter on with Sean Hannity. This is a minute long. This is going to blow your mind.
All right, now, there's something percolating that probably will break Monday.
Do either
It's
one,
possible.
you're both smiling. Do
He's
either
smiling.
one
Tomorrow.
of you want to give the audience, well,
I'll give
a
you some
little heads up?
I'll give you some breaking news right now, Sean. Just 2 hours ago, federal prosecutors assigned to John Huber, the U.S. attorney investigating the Clintons, reached out to a whistleblower in the Clinton Foundation. The first time we've seen contact between a Clinton Foundation whistleblower and that particular federal office. That just happened tonight.
Are you talking about the one whose home was raided?
No, this is a different whistleblower that you might learn. You'll learn a lot more about on Monday, I bet you.
All right, we'll learn that on Monday. Sarah, last word. What is it?
I
Give
just
us
say
a
we have to
preview
keep
of
our
Monday's
eyes.
coming attraction.
I think we've got a lot to look forward to on Monday, Sean, and I think that the American people are going to see that there was happening behind the scenes at the FBI as well as the Department of Justice, and Michael Horowitz have been doing a very deep dive into this, and there's going to be a lot of breaking news in the next month and the months to come.
Okay.
What? Everybody stay tuned on Monday.
You gotta watch Hannity's show.
Oh, gosh.
Man, we need a teaser like that for our show. Dagnabbit.
Well, I'll be able to watch his or listen to his radio show on tomorrow. He's probably going to give some stuff tomorrow, so I will tweet that stuff out for you guys. Make sure you follow me at Smith Radio. Come and see us at the American Priority Conference. Go to AmericanPriority.com and also and come visit us in D.C. this week. Go to patreon.com/SmithRadio and support us.
If you want some good gear, some great gear, we got the Trump 2020 Smith Radio t-shirts out. Just go to the website.
SmithRadio.com, right?
Yep. Or SmithTV.com.
All right.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom. Wow.